What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Game Over Greggy Show. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the producer / seducer, Nick Scarpino.
How we doing, Greg?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well.
Do you ever move this around like it's a Ouija board thing?
I do a lot, actually.
No, you don't.
I do a lot of things with these
You've
mics.
never done this before. You've never done it like this before.
I move it around like this.
That's
like
fine.
I'm sorry. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Thank
I don't
you.
move it around like it's a Ouija board.
Ouija?
I move it around like it's an
damn
air
it,
hockey
Nick.
stick. You ever
Oh,
do that?
sure. Yeah, I
Sometimes.
got that. That makes sense.
And I've said it before, but I'll say it again. These remind me of Rite Aid ice creams. You know, they come out with the sort of square-ish, sort of cylindrical.
No, I don't know Rite Aid
scoop.
ice cream.
Oh man, it's the business. The bee's knees. It used to be called Thrifties.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good. They have chocolate malted crunch, which is.
Do they have
delicioso.
Whoppers as toppers? Could I put some Whoppers on my ice cream?
I think you'd like
Whoppers is toppers.
You can do whatever you want. They sell it all there.
Midwest is a weird place.
What?
CVS.
You never get the. I don't. We talked about this last week. Pure One, Tim Gettys, how great Whoppers are.
Yeah,
So don't talk to me like you've never had ice cream with Whoppers on it. All right.
I haven't.
You never had a DQ Blizzard with some Whoppers in there?
DQ's not a thing around here. In the Bay
Same thing
Area.
in SoCal. I love DQ. They have the peanut butter parfait.
We got we have one knockoff ass DQ in a mall. Those don't count.
No, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Pride of Long Island. Colin Moriarty.
It's good to be here with you.
Are DQs a thing on the East Coast?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just making sure. Can never be. You never be sure where this is. What's Rite Aid's penetration on the market? Where are they everywhere? Are they out here only?
They're out here. I don't know.
I've never
They're out
actually.
here. And it did used to be a Thrifties.
Yeah, it used to be Thrifties. Thrifties got bought out by Rite Aid. Now, I don't know where you all come down on the Rite Aid versus CVS versus Walgreens.
See that and that. Okay, so I'm in the right vein there. At Rite Aid, you asked me before this podcast, what's Rite Aid do? I would have said they're like a Walgreens.
Yeah, they are.
But they serve ice cream in squares.
They have,
Yeah.
yeah, it's weird. They have a little ice cream stand. The scooper is like the shape of this cup, a little bit smaller. So the scoop of ice cream comes out looking like the tip of this mic.
Okay.
So when you get a cone, they serve like the shitty cones, the
Yeah.
ones that aren't sugar, the ones that like basically taste like
Cardboard.
Yeah, like the ones at Sizzler.
Yeah.
Sizzler serves ice cream cones?
Yeah, Sizzler has the when you get the unlimited things,
Yeah.
the unlimited salad bar or whatever.
Sure.
They have the unlimited
Soft serve ice cream?
Soft serve, yeah, and it gives you the little
Wafer cones.
fucking
I hate those
cardboard
cones.
things.
Hate those things.
I don't mind them.
I mean,
There's nothing more satisfying though than pulling the thing and just seeing how far up you can go. Yeah.
yeah, but you
And
know
it's
that's gonna
gonna-
just
and
eventually
you know it's
leading
gonna
tower
fall over.
pizza onto your arm.
And that's why you grab the bowl,
Oh,
you hold it next to it,
Holy
and you do the walk back, trying
shit.
to make sure it doesn't fall. Then as soon as you get down to your place, you put it down, you just dunk that shit. You always put one M&M on the bottom of the cone. It's a little gift.
These are Sizzler facts.
crap, dude.
Never been inside a Sizzler.
You're not missing much.
Thought it was more like a Red Lobster.
It
But
is.
it's more like a Golden Corral? Where am I on the scale here?
No. So here's the thing. People act like Sizzler has this fucking buffet, this big unlimited salad bar. That's all it is. It's a salad bar.
Oh, it's like a Ruby Tuesday.
I don't know.
Don't they have pudding? Isn't there a pudding bar too?
Yeah, but it's like that. That's you don't want to go near that. Then they have fried
pudding
chicken,
skin? Got
but
the
it's
pudding
just
skin?
like not real fried chicken. Then there's a taco bar, but it's like there's a lot of needing to
Yeah.
be had here.
So there's a lot of bars at this place.
Yeah, there's a lot of disappointment too, and then the meals aren't good either. And then there's the question of where do you tip? Do you tip before? Do you tip after? Do you tip at all? I don't know.
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's one way to put your hands up and do that. If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, each every week, the Game Over Greggy Show comes to your ears or eyes. 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather around this table, each bring a random topic of conversation for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny, where you can toss us a few bucks and get every episode early. If you don't want to get it early, you don't have the bucks. No big deal. Head over to youtube.com/GameOverGreggy, where we break the show up topic by topic, day by day, before posting the entire thing for your amusement. Nick,
You had me scared there for a second, Greg,
why?
because you went off the beaten path.
You like that?
A little bit, yeah.
We've done 100 episodes on the beaten path.
Yeah.
I figured now's my time to experiment, scat and bebop around the house.
I'm with you, man. Whenever you want to. You want to wear cool clothes?
Turn into a tarantula.
You mean,
for
cool
some
clothes
reason.
like these cranberry pants and Ryan Gosling socks?
Stand up and show everyone your pants.
They've already seen it.
Go right in front and show
Go
them.
out,
Show
shake,
'em.
shake your ass for the camera a little bit. We got to
There you
make
go.
some money.
There you
Come
go.
on.
There you go.
This
There
is
it
worth
is.
$1
There it
right
is.
here. Twerk
There
it.
it is.
Twerk it harder.
There it is.
You could twerk it a little harder than that.
I'm a big fan of these. Make the bulge look.
Wow. Okay. Well, I don't know if we needed to go that
This
far.
is pornographic now. No, well, you know what? Don't point to it because now. Oh,
No.
okay. We're gonna
What
get
if that
kicked off of
was my dick?
YouTube.
That's like the Chris Hemsworth
What's
one.
happening, Colin? What is going on?
I don't know.
You're talking about your Mjolnir? Your penis's name is Mjolnir now?
Mine's a medium.
His name Medium?
Uh huh.
That's
Because it's
amazing.
almost spicy.
I'm going to call it Chris Hemsworth from now on.
Chris Hemsworth.
When you walk in the morning and say, "Hey, that's Chris Hemsworth."
Yeah.
Nick, what's your topic?
This topic is long in the making, Greg.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we don't get this topic but once every 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
I can't remember if it's 2 years or 3 years. So I said 2 to 3 years. Yes, to be safe. My topic is...
What the fuck is wrong with you, Nick?
My topic?
You forgot the topic. That's what it is.
No, I didn't forget the
It's
topic.
just the wheels are spinning, trying to catch up. They're just kicking up mud.
No, I've been working on my segues a little bit here, guys, and they
need
still
more
need
work.
they still need a little bit more
And you
work.
came up with Yost.
I don't know, for some reason I channeled one of the main characters from The Golden Child starring Eddie Murphy. I don't know why the hell my brain went there. Anyway,
See, I thought it was going to be a reference to your topic.
just like that. No, not at all. Although I guess now, segue. Speaking of people with weird accents who are villains, I want to talk about James Bond.
Oh,
That's what I want to talk about.
You do talk about Bond a lot, but we've never had his topic, have we?
I do. I don't know that we have necessarily. I mean, I've brought him up multiple times. Tim, you saw the new James Bond film.
I did. Spectre.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I want to gauge how you guys feel about this because sadly, I am becoming less and less of a Bond fan.
But you were the
as
only
these
Bond
films-
fan I knew.
That's it.
Wow.
I actually might be the last one left.
You're in a theater all by
You're
yourself.
not the
with your
last.
popcorn.
There's others.
No, there are quite a few, but this is something that's been, I think this is the 24th film? Is that
24th.
fourth? Yeah.
Yes.
And we're talking about 50 some odd years of a franchise. And so what I kind of had the realization on this one was, although it's not a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination, it's well made, the action's cool.
Very okay.
It's just that every single thing in it feels oddly reminiscent of every movie that came before it. And that's starting to wear on me a little bit. Again, I have a love for this franchise that borderlines on blind faith, and so I'm not gonna leave it just yet.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, there's the car outside's it's not on. Someone's not waiting for me to run out the door. I'm still here with it. You know,
Well, you're
James
having
and I
a
are
rough
still
time.
here.
You're having a rough
Yeah.
time.
we're having a
right
rough
now.
patch today, so I don't know. I wanted to hear you guys' thoughts on that. I mean, do you care? Do
No,
you give a
never,
shit?
never have
No,
ever
least.
given a shit about James Bond.
No.
Never been able to feign interest in it. I've only watched one movie. It was the one, and I this is all I remember from it is where at the end he rolls over and he thought, I thought Christmas only came once a year. And I was like, all right,
I love that you've
That
seen
was an
literally
experience.
the worst James Bond movie. It's just the world
that
is
was
not
it.
enough.
That's all I've seen. I've never thought he seems that interesting, or his adventures seem that interesting. And I also don't like British people.
So it's
Why?
not
Because
the
they
movie
talk
for
so
you.
funny.
Yeah. Oi, governor! I'm like, well, right there, we would know you're James Bond because you talk like that.
Because you're the only person on the
But
planet.
he's not. It's not like a secret identity.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, that's actually one of the tropes that people make fun of a lot in the series. That everyone knows who he is most of the time. Like, he just goes around telling people his name's Bond, James Bond. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I guess I'll just do a quick Google search for you.
Yeah,
and figure
right,
out that
now it's
you're
a different world for him,
secret
right?
Agent. Yeah,
Moneypenny's in there taking it all out.
she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's one of those franchises that obviously has been around for so long and seen so many different decades of filmmaking and different decades of just decades.
It's seen decades of decades.
Decades, but
It's interesting to me that the franchise has seen a lot of restarts and a lot of different styles in it.
Yeah.
Where, depending on the Bond, like the Brosnan Bond was way more 90s,
yeah,
and it just was very goofy and kind of stupid and like just look at my gadgets. We got so much gadgets.
We had an invisible
And then
car.
Daniel Craig was like the Force so far. That it's kind of like the Dark Knight trilogy of the
Grounded.
yeah, it's more grounded, and I think it's a little bit more like grittier, and all the words that people throw out when they talk about Dark Knight.
Visceral.
Yeah, shit like that. And I liked it. I enjoy it. I enjoy the now quadrilogy, and I'm sure it's not fucking over. There needs to
no,
be
I
more.
doubt it's over. He's
Yeah, they're gonna
contracted
keep
for
going.
one more.
But
I don't think
there's a lot of issues with it.
No,
I
wait,
think.
no, whoa. Is he really contracted? Because he's been saying he'd only come back for money and da da da. That is not how contracts work.
He has a 5-picture contract from what I understand with Sony, but I think there's some interesting rights issues happening. I guess Sony's like losing the rights to distribute it this year, and so that may cause some more contract negotiations. I don't know if
Gotcha.
they've cleared that up or not. But yeah, he's supposed to do 5. This is number 4, and it's interesting because it's gone full circle with me. He did Casino Royale, which was a really cool
Amazing.
reboot, right? It's very much what Tim's talking about, which is like a Nolan-esque reboot of like let's ground this a little bit more in reality. Let's bring a character that's got a lot more dimensions than just the sort of misogynistic, good-looking, superhero that Bond kind of turned into in the Brosnan era. And then in the span of 3 movies, they went right back to the kind of hokey craziness with Skyfall, and now we're sort of at that place where nothing really
matters.
Because nothing's grounded in reality, you don't have that much of an emotional connection to the character anymore. And I'm sure I don't know if you felt that or not in this, but you're just kind of like, I don't really care what happens.
No, I mean, well, that sums up this movie. And I think the problem with that is the way that these movies function. Like they're sequels to each other, but it almost as if they don't expect you to have watched the other ones.
Right.
You know, and because I think it is a 3-year cycle for these movies.
Yeah.
Which is crazy for sequels. Like 2 years is a little bit more standard. 1 year is when you really want people to know that they need to watch the other ones for the story to make sense. Yeah. And it's crazy that like what I liked about these 4 is that it was a fresh start. You didn't really need to know any of the history. You can just jump into here and kind of get it. But they kind of lost sight of it over the last 12 years making these movies. That doesn't sound right, but
that's how 3 times 4 works.
Yeah. But
probably.
I don't know. Casino Royale, yeah, it came out a long ass time ago.
Yeah.
I think Quantum was 08. So
yeah,
somewhere in there.
Casino may have been 06.
But it's like it seems like they didn't really have a through line that they were going with at all with these movies, and they kind of like worked backwards. Specifically watching this one, where the entire plot of it is, oh hey, you know all those other things that happened?
Those things that were seemingly random were actually tied to this one big thing.
Exactly that, and also those bad guys. There was something above them. They were all together.
That was where it started to lose because they tried to with Skyfall. They tried to sort of have a lot of homages to the original series, right? And they had like very, very straightforward. They weren't even subtle. It was like the original car comes back and with the ejector seat and all that stuff. And you see sort of updated versions of that here. But one of the things they wanted to do is they wanted to tie in the original evil organization Spectre, which prior to this had been Quantum. And you're not really quite sure how those two are together or not together, or some people from Quantum are in Spectre. We're not sure if it was just a different name they went by. I mean, we think it's a whole different organization that was way more hardcore, similar to like, you know, ISIS to Al Qaeda, I guess would be a good parallel to draw. Like where like they're super fucking hardcore and like, which makes Quantum look like, you know, the bad guys from before look like they fucking work at Disneyland, but you don't really get it. And it's just interesting. I don't know. It's one of those franchises that I look forward to every year, and every year I've been more and more disappointed with what's happening coming from Casino Royale, which is unfortunate. And I think
you love him. You love James Bond, the character.
Yeah, of course.
Where's your barometer?
I'm interested. I like it a lot.
Okay.
This Daniel Craig vision of it, I wish was better than it is.
Okay.
Because the thing that I want to say about it is they're beautiful movies.
Oh, no.
Like the level of production and camera work and just beauty and like fucking vision that they have for these is on another level. Like movies don't compare like this, right?
No, this was beautifully done.
Like for a big blockbuster movie, I think this is on another level.
Yeah, I mean, just even the people they choose to come and shoot these things, like Skyfall was Roger Deakins, who's like probably the best working cinematographer in the industry right now. And this last one was Hoyt van Hoytema, who is the guy that shot Interstellar. So, I mean, you're talking about top of their craft people. So yes, visually and just as far as just the mechanics of filmmaking, these are fucking top notch. They're worth seeing just because they're cool.
So loves them, interested, doesn't care. Do you care about Bond? Do you connect with Bond?
I think he's an interesting character. I don't really know anything about him, but I've seen, you know, I don't know how many of the movies.
Sure,
many of them. Pierce Brosnan was really my introduction to it.
Christmas
when I was younger.
Means like an orgasm, but she was named Christmas.
But I don't know anything about the character. I like the idea of the character and like a suave, sophisticated British secret agent or whatever. I think it's cool, but it's not for me really.
Nick, why? I want to know why and when you fell in love with him.
Interesting. I think he's just always been a character, right? I think I saw the movies. I saw the original Connery movies on TV during the Christmas time. They always play like a marathon, right? Mm-hmm. And I think I sat down and watched one. I was like, this is fairly interesting. And then I think it was really probably GoldenEye that did it for me.
Gotcha.
The game, sinking countless hours into that game and really sort of starting to appreciate just Bond as a franchise for what, you know, just from the enjoyment level I got from the N64 game to then going through and I think a lot of people you have your different touchstones of like who's your Bond if you're into Bond, you know, depending on when you were born. And a lot of people now it's Daniel Craig, but for you it was probably Pierce Brosnan back in the day because that was probably the first time you saw a Bond film or actually were aware of it. You'd probably seen him on TV, but it's that first time you were aware of it. For me, it was probably GoldenEye.
Yeah.
And then I started working my way backward because I remember seeing Living Daylights. I remember seeing Timothy Dalton and just not liking it because I was like, this doesn't really do it for me. But then that tie-in with the game because the game was so good, I'm like, damn it, the marketing worked. They got me. Watched
the marketing that was like 2 years after the release of the movie.
I can't. No, actually, I think I remember why. I think I remember really liking the movie, and I think I remember liking it because it was so different than the Timothy Dalton movies. And I'd seen the Roger Moore movies, of course. I mean, I guess I always just kind of saw them when I was a kid and didn't really. I just kind of liked them. And then once I
So it wasn't until you got older that you actually.
Yeah,
I didn't know if it was something you watched as a kid and you're like, this secret agent's awesome and he's got.
I mean, I liked it. I liked the gadgets. I liked all the zaniness of it. And then I started sort of, in recent years, in the last 10 years, I read the books and I started reading a little bit more about Ian Fleming and sort of how he took some of his real world experience from being not an OSS officer. Whatever the
Secret Service.
It wasn't Secret Service. Whatever the Secret Service was during World War II for the Brits. I forget what it was. It might have been OSS. Anyway, he worked for them and he knew people that were sort of quote unquote secret agents. And so he, I just think it's cool how he took sort of some of the reality of the world and sort of inflated it into this character, this Bond character. And what's fascinating for me is what it's meant to sort of as a symbol throughout the decades, right? And you see it sort of as Sean Connery as that sort of like that brooding, good-looking, dashing, but flawed guy, and then you go into the sort of the Roger Moore era, which is throw it all out of the fucking window. It's completely zany. We got cars that can fucking turn into boats, that can turn into helicopters, lasers coming out of every aspect of his wardrobe
at all points,
just everywhere. It's just like, don't touch my lapel. There's a laser coming out of it. Then you got Dalton, who was an interesting choice. You've got George Lazenby in there, who's another fascinating story of a guy that like should have been a huge star, but did one movie, decided to quit the franchise, and that was it. That was it for him. Never actually worked again. After that, he should have done 2 or 3 more Bond movies.
Why did he never work? Because
his agent quit? Apparently the way the story goes is his agent gave him really bad advice and said, "Hey, you should only do one of these because you're going to get typecast," which does happen. It happened to Roger Moore. Didn't happen to Sean Connery, but it did happen to Timothy Dalton and Pierce Brosnan, I think, to some degree. But he was
Brosnan had,
he had a lot. He did Remington Steele. He did Mrs. Doubtfire. He did a lot of good work, but
like Thomas Crown Affair and all that kind of shit was like very
still the same stuff.
Still Bondian, right. And so you come through that. I don't know if Bondian is a word, but we're going to make it a word. Yeah,
you just made a word.
You come through that, and so he apparently only did one, and his agent said, "Get out of it now."
Gotcha.
He was basically a male model at the time. I don't think he'd been well known at all. I don't think he'd done anything before that, and I don't think he did anything since, which is unfortunate because that movie actually wasn't as bad as people make it out to be. But I think that's Daniel Craig's fear now, is that he wants out of the series because he's been typecast. But I don't know if that's true. I don't think I buy that.
Does that even exist anymore? Does typecasting exist?
It does to a degree. Like I was thinking about it the other day with Arrow, where I was like, could Stephen Amell? It would be hard for him to do anything but Arrow right now, right?
He's Casey Jones in Ninja Turtles.
Is he?
Yep.
We'll see how that works. That should work. That'll be good. That's great for him. But like, it's hard for me to envision him as anything but Arrow. And I think to me, because I come from that old school, like once you're a TV actor, you're a TV actor, which doesn't really exist anymore because people are going back and forth. But like, he's so Arrow to me that it's hard for me to move away from that. And Daniel Craig will always be Bond. Like he hasn't done anything more. He did The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, he did Layer Cake, he did a bunch of other movies. He did Munich, which he was fucking phenomenal in. Yeah. But his breakout role, the thing that made him was Bond, and so he'll always be Bond.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I was thinking about it the other day. I was for some reason started thinking about Katie Holmes. I don't know why I'm thinking about Katie Holmes.
Dawson's Creek, man.
Yeah, well, that was the thing was, I'm like, I was thinking, and it must have been something related to Tom Cruise because like, oh yeah, and they broke up, and I'm like, but what was Katie Holmes famous for? And like, I know actress, don't get me wrong, but I was thinking of. Not Dangerous Minds. What was the one where they were like the kids took The Faculty? Yeah. There was that, and that I was trying to work my way back, and it took me not hours, but at least a minute of thinking. To be like, oh right, she's on Dawson's Creek. That was a thing. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you see people get chances again all the time. Like I remember when Party of Five ended. You're like, well, that's that for them people. And then like Matthew Fox is on Lost. You're like, oh. And then the other brother from that had a show. I remember that was running at the same time.
Heroes, wasn't he?
Was he? Scott Wolf, is that right? Is that his name?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking my so. And
then even like back to your point of like we've talked about him on this show and he's been on our stuff at E3. Like Brandon Routh, right? When Superman Returns blew up and didn't go anywhere, I was like, oh, what's gonna happen to him? Is he ever gonna work again? He's worked a bunch of times. And now he is on Arrow or was on Arrow or whatever, and he's got Legends of the Tomorrow. And
I think you may have. I've read a story about Katie Holmes. She was in my brain recently because apparently the actress from King of Queens.
Yeah,
Leanne Rimini or whatever.
We know her, of course, as Stacey Carosi.
Mm-hmm. Apparently wrote a book, an autobiography that has a lot to do with like being around Scientologists and going to that Tom Cruise and Suri's wedding and like all the weird shit that which is fascinating to me. I'm so fascinated by that. I will probably not read it, but I am fascinated enough to have read that Yahoo article that I came across.
You've read the excerpts on Yahoo.com.
But yeah, she's another interesting one too, where it's like she's on Ray Donovan. It's a great show. She's on
I don't know. What's
She's
rated
been on-
on?
It's a Showtime show starring Leah
Okay,
Shriver.
Gotcha.
It's fucking really good, and she's on it. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you're always sort of known for that, and I think that is a concern. But you know, if the best you're ever gonna do in life is being fucking James Bond, I think you did okay.
Yeah.
You did okay. You know?
And I think that might be the bigger thing nowadays, right? It's like, it's not that you never work again, but are you ever something that's on that level again? You know what I mean?
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, for Daniel Craig will. He'll endure, and he'll find a couple of breakout roles.
Are they making more of the girl with dragon tattoo movies? I like that first one a
I
lot.
don't think so. I don't think he wanted to. Well, I don't think his character, I don't think is in them predominantly for the next two. I think it's more about her. I think he's just a side character in it. But I don't know what the holdup is. That I love that first movie.
Yeah, it was great.
I thought it was great. It was better than reading the book because all the fucking names are too incredibly hard to pronounce in your brain.
Sure.
Stieg Larsson. That was easier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that seems like you nailed it. I don't know.
I don't know. I want to see him do more. I want him to. Obviously, you want people that are in franchises that you love to actually be happy when they're making them.
Yeah,
so
what's your take on all that though? Because it was this huge thing, right? That Daniel Craig did all this press and then was like,
yeah. If you read the quote, it was a lot more joking than people made it out to be. They just they took it out of context. In context, he was saying more along the lines of like he's really tired because they're in the middle of. And you've been to those junkets multiple times. You've had people on the shows that you've hosted where they do the rounds, right? At Comic-Con, they're like, cool, we just got off of 15 other interviews and you're going to ask me probably, let's be honest, the exact same questions that all those other people asked us.
Yeah.
And so, yes, right now, there is a component of wanting to not be in that situation that I think that he was feeling, but it's also obviously heightened by the fact that he doesn't want to do the movies anymore. But yeah, he was basically alluding to the fact that he was just really tired. And right now, given the thought of going back on set and doing another movie, he would rather slit his wrists, what he said.
Sure.
Which was a poor use of words. He should have said, you know, I need a break. That's all I needed to say.
That's a better way to say it.
But I think he needs to go, and I think they need to redo. I think they need to reboot the franchise.
They do. I mean, they have to. It's too convoluted at this point. Like Skyfall, I think was it wasn't a perfect movie, but I think it was a good direction of at least trying to like, all right, Casino Royale rebooted things, Quantum fucked things up. Skyfall was like, let's kind of get it back on track, and then this one just kind of put things together but didn't go anywhere with it.
Yeah.
And now just it's convoluted, and it's like a Metal Gear Solid storyline without any of the good parts about it.
We'll see
it's just convoluted.
What I liked about Casino Royale that unfortunately I think Quantum kind of jostled a little bit was that Casino Royale was a little bit more like a Bourne movie. It was taken taking a lot of cues from the Bourne identity and the Bourne series, where it was super violent. The action was super fucking visceral, and like it wasn't tongue in cheek. Like I'm gonna say a tagline afterward. Like there's at no point does he ever say, with the exception of like one or two choice lines, like "Don't lose your head."
He doesn't
have those fucking dumb one-liners, right? It's very, very much about him being a covert operative in this world and like having to take down someone. And there is a grandeur to it, but ultimately it was a lot more rooted in reality than even Quantum was, where you have him suddenly like doing these crazy things in this plane. And then by the time Skyfall comes around, I think Skyfall was a reaction to Quantum, where Quantum was, because of the writer strike and because of some of the circumstances of when it was being produced, it wasn't as good as it could have been. Namely, I think Daniel Craig actually wrote some of it, if I'm not mistaken, because they didn't have the writers. Like the writers were striking at the time.
Why don't you take a shot at this, Daniel?
Well, he's a co-producer on
James
it now too
Bond.
as well.
Great line.
Awesome. Thought of that myself. So, the problem is the series, I think, just kind of, it found itself with Casino Royale, and I think it lost itself with Skyfall. I think by the time it got to Skyfall, they were like, ooh, here's how we fix this. Let's do a bunch of ridiculous homages to the Roger Moore era and the Sean Connery era, and let's try to tie that in with a villain that's really really crazy, but at the same time, let's have absolutely nothing happen.
Yeah,
and that was Skyfall.
That was the problem. Is it was so close, but they didn't really do it. The best compliment I can give this one is the opening 15 minutes are amazing.
They're beautiful,
so cool. I loved it.
Beautiful. It's all done in like a one-take shot. I think they shot on film too, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't read that article.
I mean, it looked. The only problem with the CG when the building crumbles is like it was like, oh man, you took me out of this. But before that, man, the fucking. When it starts up and just that one shot following him, there's no dialogue. You just hear all the sounds of the people and shit. And then he just goes in the room with that girl, and you're just like, this is fucking great.
Yeah, it's a great first scene. It's very reminiscent of like Touch of Evil, but like when we're basically following him through this crowd of people in Mexico City during Day of the Dead celebrations. And he goes up to the hotel room and he's in like the costume and he throws the girl in the bed and we're with her for a second. It's all one shot. We're with her for a second. Then it turns back to him and he's in his suit, like just putting on his tie. She's like, "Where are you going?" He's like, "I'll be right back."
Steps out the
window. Steps out the window and then has to go kill someone.
Cool.
It's really cool. And that was great.
And then there's a great action scene like with the helicopter and stuff.
Yeah, again, it was one of those things where it was like, that was awesome. But I didn't really need that. Like, we don't need, I guess this is at the heart of what I'm struggling with is, do we need this character anymore? You know, like a perfect example is, and I don't want to get too down this rabbit hole, but his the sex scene with Monica Bellucci, right, where it just kind of totally comes out of nowhere, and he sort of quote unquote seduces her, but it seems a lot more creepy than it should have. I don't know how you felt about that, but I was like, this is really not like in olden days. I think it was sort of like the idea of what the masculine man was supposed to be Sean Connery, right? A guy that could walk into a room and the woman was so attracted to him that he could take her clothes off without even thinking about it, right? Of course, if any of us did that right now, we'd probably be thrown in jail, and rightfully so, because it comes off a lot more like assault in this movie than it does.
Is she like the main girl?
No, Monica Bellucci is the wife in the very beginning, where she's like, they're gonna kill me now because you killed my husband.
Got it. Yeah,
just stunning.
Yeah,
stunning.
So what does that
Creepy.
mean? I don't. So what does creepy mean?
So
she doesn't want
when you look at, no, it's not that she doesn't want it. It's just that the character of Bond is supposed to mean something that I don't know that it necessarily needs to mean anymore. In that, I don't think it needs to be the sort of symbol of sex appeal for a man, right? Because I think that criteria in my brain at least has changed a little bit, right? Like, he's dashing, yes. He's good looking, yes. He's charming, yes. But I don't feel a connection to anyone anymore that based on a need or a desire of mine to be able to sweep a woman off her feet in 5 seconds, right? That's not interesting to me anymore. And I think that's sort of indicative of what the franchise is in general. It's that it's very, 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 very superficial now. It's come back to that superficial level where the action's superficial, the sex is superficial, the wardrobes, while amazing, are still kind of just there as sort of, they kind of just pop out as like, this is just going to kind of, season the whole whatever we're looking at on screen. There's no real heart to it. And that, I think that's what I take sort of offense to. Not offense, but I think that's what I have that makes me a little sad, is that I don't feel a connection to him anymore personally, and I don't feel a connection because I don't think that they're taking the time to really think about how he should be utilized or how they should develop these connections within the characters, within the structure of the movies, right? So, like, for instance, I don't need to see him walk into a room and instantly have sex with the girl. Does anyone need to see that? Does anyone get off on that? Does anyone look at that and go, that's a fucking serious, a symbol of masculinity that I should adhere to, or I should strive to be like? I don't think that.
I love the second sex scene in that movie.
The second sex scene was hot, though.
It was amazing.
That was good because they actually
there was build up.
She creeped him out.
I mean, it was it's good. It's real good.
Right.
I want to give a shout out to the song, because when I first heard the song, I was like, this sucks. This isn't Bond. I don't like this, especially after the amazing Skyfall by Adele.
Yeah, it was. I liked it. I thought
but in the movie,
I
thought
it worked well.
with the thing, man.
That
And that's the other
awesome
thing is Bond
sequence.
movies always have the best opening sequences,
Oh, yeah.
and this one.
Well, they literally have producers that just do those.
I know.
sequences.
I love seeing the credits. Then you see the credit for the guy
the
that
guy's
just
name.
made that music video.
Yeah,
Fucking cool.
freaking awesome, man. So I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm sure I'm given some time, I'll go back. I mean, I've rewatched probably Casino Royale.
In a
at least
perfect
5,
world,
6
what
times.
do you want to see then? Do you want to see Bond take a decade off? Do you want to see?
No, I want to see him. I would love to see them go back to the storytelling that we saw in Casino Royale, which I know is hard, right? That's like saying I'd love to see Nolan keep remaking The Dark Knight every time, right? It's not going to fucking happen, right? And again, it's not to say to Tim's earlier point, this is a good movie. I'm not going to score it. I'm not going to review it. But if I had to, I would score it well. I would say go see it. It's awesome to watch in theaters. The cinematography, the acting, everything's beautiful. It's just, it's everything's compared to The Dark Knight. That is the benchmark. And so when you have rises, depending on who's sitting at the table, it's just not as good. And to me, I think that every subsequent one that followed Casino Royale has been just not as good.
Step
It's
down,
not as
step
good. A
down.
step down.
I did the same problem that whenever we have been talking about Uncharted recently, where I was saying my issues with Uncharted is that a lot of the plot in all 3 of the games is, all right, you need to go find this thing in this place. You go there, you get it, and you're like, oh, wait,
This is
we
the thing
actually
for
need
the
to go
other
to that
thing.
place. And then you go there, and it's like, oh, but there's this person over here. Oh, they're not the bad guy. You need to go to Mexico. Now you need to go to
Right.
Antarctica. Now you need to go to whatever. And it's like, why? And what this movie doesn't have that Uncharted does have is the writing and the characters that you really fucking care about. So the movie is just kind of like, you're just going places for no fucking reason.
And I think that's the point. That's what I'd love to see more. I'd like to see way more character development. I know that sounds silly for a Bond film because it is a Bond film and we're getting into the minutia of it. But I'd like to see way more character development. I'd like to see more development. I think Daniel Craig would probably like to see a lot more development of the actual character itself, just in general.
There should be development that matches the look of it.
How do you mean?
Like it looks beautiful.
amazing.
It looks
Why
like
isn't
a
the story
great movie.
movie?
Oh yeah,
amazing.
yeah. I mean, that's yeah. I mean, that's what I'd love to see, and I know that's rendering a complaint where I think a lot of people would disagree with me and say, dude, it's a fucking Bond film. Like it's similar to a Call of Duty movie,
Here's
right?
my
Or a Call
question.
of Duty game. Like where you're gonna play Call of Duty, you know what you're gonna fucking get. People mostly just want more Call of Duty.
How do these movies perform nowadays? I don't even pay attention.
Skyfall did really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one I think is doing fairly well. The budget was huge on it though. It was closely creeping up to
It's the third
being
highest budget
one of the
movie
highest,
of all time.
Yeah, highest movies of all time. So, and you can see it. It definitely is there.
It's
Like
fucking
the visuals
beautiful.
are gorgeous, but it always makes me wonder. And I think at this one, I can't remember if this. I haven't read up on it, but I don't know if this is true or not. Someone told me that they kind of went into shooting with the script still in flux, very much in flux, and so that could contribute to a little bit of that. But it always amazes me that like, especially with the producers of these films, where you're like, why wouldn't you just, you're going to make another one? Why don't you take some of that $200 million budget and just throw a really good screenwriter a bone? Let him just do a throw Gary Whitta a bone. Let him write a James Bond film. I'm sure he's British, isn't he? Still?
Yeah.
Does he still count as
Is he
British?
still?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he still eats all that gross ass food and just wants it all the time. All that
God, man,
gross
that
food.
last
He
shit he
sounds
brought
really
in, I
British.
crave sometimes.
Boy,
That weird
Governor, me
spread.
Gary with it here.
Yeah,
Abomination in bookstores now, eh?
it is in bookstores now.
It is.
online.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, that's where I'm at. I mean, again, I still love it.
So
I think
you
I'll still
want
love the
James
franchise.
Bond dead. You say end the
No.
franchise, bury it, and never do it again. And also collect all the copies of the movies that are out there now and burn those.
Wow. No.
That's what I guess
No,
away
that's
from your
not.
topics.
That's
Take
That's
the
not
golden
what's
gun out
whatsoever.
back. One bullet
Just
to the head.
shoot it in the back of the head. No, I mean, I think that I always want Bond to be a thing. Similar to how I always want Harry Potter to be a thing. I always want the Muppets to be a thing. There are certain cherished franchises that I need to still be around, and Bond is definitely one of
But
them.
Harry Potter is a thing and it's done now.
No, it's coming back, baby.
Is it?
Coming back.
What's
Yeah,
going
they're
on?
making another one. It's an offshoot. It's a
What
do they
about
call it?
Harry and his kids or that monsters?
No, it's about, what is it called? Magical.
Fantastic Beasts.
Okay, yeah, Fantastic
Where to
Beasts. That
find 'em,
doesn't
yeah.
count. That's not back.
It does
That's
count.
grasping at straws. That's not
No, that's them building out the expanded universe of Harry
the
Potter.
expanded universe, the cinematic bookie universe.
No,
What's that?
Oh yeah, I did hear about
They're
this.
making a
Where it's
play.
like Potter's 35, right, and his kid's doing something.
they're
It's
making
a play. Is it a musical?
It's a two-part play.
Going back to Hogwarts. Everyone we knew is dead.
Tim,
Oh my God.
we need to see this musical.
I'm down.
Immediately.
Well, we need to write it, I think, first. That might be the next step. Colin, what's your topic?
First of all, I wanted to say that it's funny that Spectre's in the theater with all the money it's grossing at the same time as that Gem movie, which apparently is the fourth lowest grossing wide release movie ever released. They're in the movies. at the
Nobody
same
likes
time.
that Gem movie.
Well, to be fair, no one liked that character on Nashville either. Boom.
Now, here's the thing.
She was the most annoying character on that show.
First off, shut your fucking mouth. Secondly, we are not. Let's not.
She was supposed to be annoying.
Let's
and
not
she nailed
cross our lines here. We are not talking about Aubrey Peoples. We're talking about the movie Gem.
I'm
And-
not talking about
and-
her as a person or an actor. I'm telling her character on Nashville was purposely designed to be annoying, and she nailed it. Great actress. Give her an Academy Award or whatever they give TV people.
Emmys. They give them Emmys.
Whatever.
And you keep talking the past tense. She's still very much active on the
I
show.
haven't
There's a
watched the show
very
in
interesting
a
storyline
season.
right now with her and Jeff. I don't want to spoil anything.
Jeff the asshole?
Jeff Fordham, yeah.
Why don't they just kill that guy? Just put a fucking bullet in the back of his head.
He's dead. I'm sorry to break it to you this
What the
way.
fuck, really?
He did die. Yes.
Did someone put a bullet in the back of his head? Did
No.
I kill him?
No.
Was it me?
No.
Okay. How'd he die? Tell me offline. Don't spoil it for people. Well, you've already spoiled it for people.
you're
How
right.
does he die?
Don't spoil it.
Nobody watching right now fucking cares, and you should be caught up on Nashville. It was actually Juliet's going through a really hard time. She's got postpartum.
Juliet killed him?
She's got postpartum depression, so she was on a roof about to commit suicide, right? And Jeff saw it and ran over to save her and pulled her back, but then he fell.
Show's so fucking stupid.
Are you fucking with
I'm
me?
dead serious.
I gotta get back
And
into
Luke
the show.
Wheeler's son saw it all, but he had been boozing. So what does he do with this information?
It's like the Game of Thrones.
Oh, wow.
We all win in this one, though.
Well, I'm glad they killed this character.
Kevin put up his hand. To be clear, it's better than Game of Thrones. Ooh, there's monsters on the other side of the wall. Maybe in another 7 seasons they'll get here and do shit.
Anyway, I was just thinking recently about conspiracy theories, which I love.
Were you,
I love
Colin?
conspiracy theories.
That doesn't sound like a thing you'd think about.
No,
Is this a new
I
hobby of
like
yours?
reading about them because I like reading about I don't believe most conspiracy theories, but I enjoy reading about how people kind of jump to these conclusions and why there's some interesting stuff. Like the moon landing clearly happened, but there's some interesting stuff that can be all proven false. But people still go down this rabbit hole of why they believe that the United States never went to the moon. We went to the moon. If you really believe that, you need to get checked. But there are some conspiracy theories that I think are really interesting, and some I even believe. And I was curious if there were any conspiracy theories, and they don't have to be necessarily like well-known conspiracy theories, but things that the record states happened that you just don't believe happened the way they said it happened. And my example is the JFK assassination, which I think is like fucking weird, and clearly something happened. There was clearly a second shooter.
Right.
There's like all sorts of evidence, like the government's own panels like were saying that something was off after this happened in the 60s. And we kind of just like swept it under the rug, like a man just goes into a school book but depository, goes out a window, aims at the president, and just kills him for no reason. Like there's just no motive.
With a shot that's similar to what was that, a Wanted, where he fucking curves the bullet. Wasn't there like some crazy trajectory shit?
Yeah, that's why they think that there was the shooter on the grassy knoll and all that kind of stuff, and like the way that because he hit the governor in the front seat and all that kind of stuff too. And I don't know. So I don't want to get too deep into the JFK assassination, but I've always been fascinated by that particular conspiracy theory because I believe that there's some veracity towards that conspiracy theory. Whether or not, I don't know who the fuck was responsible for it, whether it was the mob or it was just like Lee Harvey Oswald was a crazy person, but also a really good scapegoat, right? He was a communist sympathizer. He lived in the Soviet Union. Like there's all of this weird shit about him. And then Jack Ruby kills him. And Jack Ruby has like mob ties, and I was like, why did they kill? Why?
Jack Ruby doing America's service and jumping up and killing this guy who killed the president.
Like I don't understand. Like it's just very very weird. Meanwhile, like there's clear film footage of weird shit happening, and there's people that were there that like swear to God that there was like a shot coming from another area in another place too. So that's
it makes sense though. I mean, like think about it this way: if you're going to assassinate a high-ranking public figure, why would you have one shooter? Well, if it's an open car, which is ridiculous that they used to let that happen anyway, I guess learn the hard way. But like, yeah, it makes sense. You'd have at least some backup, right? Wouldn't you have a couple people out there with a couple more sniper rifles?
Yeah, that's why I think there's just. Do
you feel like Harvey Oswald took a shot though?
Yeah, I think he was in on it.
Yeah,
and I think that someone told Jack Ruby to kill him because he was going to talk.
Right,
and Lee Harvey Oswald wasn't alive that long afterwards. Like everyone forgets, like Lee Harvey Oswald didn't even get a chance to say anything really. And the only things that it's really fascinating to watch the footage of him walking by, like claiming that he's like, there's more to the story. Like he's innocent and all, but I'm sure he's definitely one of the shooters clearly. But why did Jack Ruby and what's crazy is Jack Ruby killed him on fucking national TV.
Yeah. Walked
That's like one of the other that's like one of the other crazy things. Everyone just saw it happen. Jack Ruby just walks up to him and fucking shoots him. I'm like, this is insane. Like
how did they talk Ruby into doing that?
I don't know.
They had shit on him too. That was just his life.
Yeah, like I don't. So we don't have to go fall down that rabbit hole, but I'm using that as an example of something where I'm like, okay, we landed on the moon. There was probably nothing super untoward about when Reagan was almost assassinated in 1981, like all this kind of stuff. But with this, there's something about this. You know what I mean? Another great conspiracy theory that I don't believe in, but is possible, and there's some interesting evidence is that we knew that Pearl Harbor was going to happen. And that we let it happen.
But isn't that kind of substantiated a little bit by the fact that like all the fleet had moved out like the day or two before?
Yeah, well, I think the
carriers were all not like all the carriers were gone. Everything that was actually vital to our Navy was gone, and they just sunk a bunch of old ships.
Yeah, well, it's more about there were some ship movements with the Navy, but there was more like cables being sent back and forth, like indicating that like they knew, and the Japanese were still in Washington, like feinting, FEINT, like saying that they were
doing peace talks.
Yeah, exactly. Like they were conducting peace talks with with Washington at the same time. But like there was apparently some people that knew, and it's all sorts of weird shit going on. But
I'd be a little pissed off. I was in another nation's capital conducting a peace talk, and behind my back, my fucking superiors bombed that nation. I'd be like, well, I'm dead.
Well, they knew
that wasn't behind their backs. No, they knew what they were.
Oh, they knew it was going to happen.
Yeah. So that's just an just an example. Area 51, all this stuff. I mean, there's a million different.
9/11.
9/11,
this little thing that I saw that no one else saw
9/11
called
definitely.
Loose Change, and it was pretty convincing.
Did you like Loose Change?
Actually, real talk, I did enjoy it a lot. But
it's interesting.
I think I was like
15
when I first saw it, and like I remember seeing it, being like, holy shit! Like But this is the problem, is when people say things that are. Do you know what this is?
No, what's loose change?
Oh,
Documentary
wow.
about
So everyone
9/11.
knew. It's
It's
like a documentary.
I'm sorry, throw the air quotes around
about the
document.
conspiracy theory of 9/11, of how it was all America's fault and like it was all an inside job and
Got it.
The
like
part
this
of
whole
9/11
thing.
that gets me is I at no point, I mean, the whole what is it, jet fuel can't melt steel beams like that. I'm fine with the jet fuel melting that and collapsing the building. Pentagon still gets me. I still think something else happened at the Pentagon, not something
Like
else.
a missile or something?
I don't know.
Oh,
I
they
don't know
shot that
what it
thing
is,
down.
but like the worst was when they're like, all right, fine, we've heard you all. We're going to release the footage. I'm like, well, thank you very much. And they put it out, it's like 3 frames and you see like something and then the explosion. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, that's the whole problem of like, and like,
There's some weirdness
what a
about
hard shot that is to make. The fact that no cars were blown off the road, that there's no like, that it was a perfect thing. There was, it's like,
See, the problem with conspiracy theories, though, is that whenever
It's a
something
perfect
bad
hole.
happens, it's like if something were to happen, no one's prepared for it to happen. So then once it happens, it's easy to be like, oh, well, how did that happen? But if it happened, it happened. Like
Yeah.
Princess Diana's death. That's another one that people talk about conspiracy theories. Okay. Wow, what you just talked about.
JFK?
Yeah, JFK. It's like all these things. It's just like things happen. So then it's easy to kind of look at and be like, well, how did that happen?
exactly. And that's
You
the
know?
problem. That's why it doesn't keep me awake.
Yeah, but
at
I
night.
feel like there's always a level of detail that the public just doesn't get, and that's I think where a lot of the conspiracy theories start to kick in, where it's like they don't release full reports on all this stuff for national security. Maybe it's for altruistic reasons or not altruistic, but good reasons, right? Like maybe they don't want to give details out in ongoing investigations, things like that. But that's where I feel like it starts to open up a little bit of a wedge with the public, where you're like, wait a minute, how is that even possible? Where there is an answer for it, they just can't share that with you.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh fuck, and then the crazies start to come out, like me. Aliens are real.
Well,
Greg.
the way I always gauge conspiracy theories is, and why I don't believe in the 9/11 conspiracy theories, regardless of like whatever, a lot of the science is weird anyway about it, but is you just have to look at it rationally. Like simplest explanation tends to be the right one, but also like how many people are involved in the conspiracy. So for a conspiracy to be true, everyone has to keep the secret. So like the moon landing conspiracy was always nonsense because that would have involved thousands of people, including the Soviets, by the way, who tracked the fucking ships going to the moon, and would have loved if we didn't actually go. They would have fucking said that in 2 seconds. They know we went because they watched it happen, you know? So it was like the Soviets were in on it too. Mm-hmm. Like we embarrassed them, but they're in on it. Okay. And then everyone in NASA's in on it and the executive branch is in on it. This involves thousands of people. Kubrick's in on it, by the way, as well, since he's the one who, is the one who filmed, or whoever, I think it was Kubrick, right? They used to say was the one who filmed. They thought would
the one that actually filmed the fake moon landing. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so I'm like, all right, that doesn't make any sense. And now with the moon landing conspiracies are so fucking stupid now because we can, like I've said before, you can point a fucking telescope at the moon and see the evidence that we were there. We were there.
It's a hologram.
So like that. So
the moon doesn't even exist.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
True.
So
Actually gets bigger.
So we were there. The same thing with the Pearl Harbor one is interesting because we did want to get in, and when Pearl Harbor
But is that a
happened,
conspiracy so much as it just is like a lack of information? Like, would it be considered a conspiracy if
we let it happen? Yeah,
I guess it would.
It's definitely a conspiracy. It cost thousands of lives too. But it was, because Churchill was the one who said, like, finally, like, paraphrasing, like, finally the Americans are going to get in. Because like people forget or just don't know, like we were very neutral. Like we were chaotically neutral during like the early 20th century. Like we did not get involved in shit. That was how it was. So there's cause to expect that they would need something terrible to happen, and the Nazis were not going to do it. So we needed the Japanese to do it to us because the Japanese had interest. We have an oil embargo on Japan, so like they're in a lot of trouble. And if you guys can read about it, I'm not going to get too into that, but we really strangled the shit out of the Japanese economy, and that was their imperative. They attacked the Philippines and everything at the same time. So there's something to it, but again, I just don't believe it because of how many people must have been involved, from the Department of Defense or the Department of War to, the executive branch, the military, everyone like was in on this, like the people that were reading the radars, everyone just, so like, again, like it doesn't make any sense.
But I mean, think about how many people are sitting in the NSA right now that are privileged to that kind of information every day that don't leak, right? Like it's amazing that we've only had one gigantic, massive leak come out of that organization in the last however many decades.
Well, sure, but it's different now too. Like when Snowden leaked everything, he had to flee. But when Deep Throat leaked a bunch of shit, he stayed exactly where he was because it was different. The technology was different. It was harder to track people. Dead drops were way easier to do. So, but the reason that I believe the JFK, there's something up with the JFK is it doesn't involve that many people. If like you,
well, not only that, but they also started killing people too. It's like that. It's like that old school first rule of assassination: kill the assassin. Like that's what they did.
Yeah,
that's what they did.
Yeah, he was alive for like a day. So Ruby
died. Didn't Ruby die early in prison?
Ruby was in prison for a while. And there's all sorts of. He died, I think, later in prison, but he started saying some shit too. And that was like the. So the reason I believe in that is like the JFK assassination, if it really happened, depending on who might have been responsible for it, if it is indeed a conspiracy, may have only involved a few people. You know, and an organization like, say, the mob, which was one of the organizations that might have, is assumed to maybe have some conspiratorial, relation to it with JFK or whatever, is known to keep their secrets. So it's not like this involves departments of government and all this kind of stuff. This might involve an assassin, a few people.
Well, wasn't one of the theories
LBJ
why the mob was involved with it because of the Bay of Pigs? Didn't they utilize some of the mob's resources to go down there, and then Kennedy totally fucked everyone over, and they were like, "Well, we got to kill this guy now," or was it different? Was there something else that went to it?
There's like a million of them. The one that I find most convincing has to do with LBJ and just like weird shit. Dallas being a perfect place to do it since it's in the Deep South. There's some animosity towards Northern Catholics. There's a lot of like weird stuff, and I want to be clear that I'm not saying that it happened like this. I'm just saying that it's out of all of these different things, this is really one of the more interesting ones to me because, and why I pay attention to it, and why I like to read about it, just because it's the most plausible of all of the major conspiracy theories that I can think of. The 9/11 one doesn't make any sense to me because, again, all the people involved in having controlled explosions in the buildings, putting bombs in the buildings beforehand, like this involves fucking lots of people. Like I just. I don't trust that no one would say anything. I think that there's some weird shit that happened on 9/11 for sure. I think that fourth plane was shot down, like in Shanksville. I think that a fighter pilot shot that fucking plane down.
Yeah, but that's understandable why you wouldn't tell the public that, right? Like,
right, but
I don't necessarily. I mean, as we have a right to know, but at the same time, I can imagine being put in that position as the president and going, you know what, the nation does not like this. We might want to wait on this one a little bit.
Well, they'll never admit it. But the reason that I'm convinced that happened or that's plausible is, again, because no one's involved in this decision. There's one fighter pilot, maybe a few planes, so a few fighter pilots, the people that make the decisions in the military and the executive branch, that's it. So it's not like saying like, go into the building a week beforehand, set the explosions. Did anyone see you? All these people are now involved. The people that sent you the orders are now involved. The people that made the bombs are involved. And now we have to involve the terrorists that came in from Portland and Boston. Then I'm like, oh no, this is way too crazy. After the fact, it's believable that pilots were dispatched and they shot down anything that was in the air. And I believe that I 100% believe that happened to that Shanksville plane. Yeah. Regardless of the story they fabricated about it, whether or not I'm saying fabricated in quotes because it could have happened. I mean, that was supposed to be a very uplifting.
Was that when
the people took over the plane? Yeah. But I just don't know that that's really the case.
But the wreckage was spread over too far.
So then, what do you think of the phone calls and such that the people on the plane made to their family?
Yeah, and this is where the conspiracy gets complicated because then this involves more people. But there could be all sorts of false flag shit going on during this. But again,
think about when people like our government, the fact that they're running black ops around the world right now. Think about how many people are involved in that, and think about how little the public knows about those things. Right? This is an organization the military is an organization that's supposed to be keeping secrets. It's supposed to be covert. It's supposed to be it's not founded on the tenets of transparency with the public. So I don't think it's beyond the realm of doubt that you could keep a secret of this magnitude, considering when you start going back and looking at some of these black ops missions that Navy SEALs did in Vietnam, or even the mission to go get Osama bin Laden. I mean, these are a lot of people that had to be involved in this in order for it to actually go off without a hitch, and they do. So I don't know. It's not.
But the bin Laden raid is not a secret.
No, but
it was until it happened,
right?
But it's not a secret. It happened. But
there's a little bit of conspiracy behind that because
people don't think it happened.
Well, some people don't think it happened. Other people also think that they knew, they had an idea of where he was, and they were just waiting to go and get him until it was politically advantageous. But that's
one thing, and also people think that we got rid of his body, and there's no proof that we ever got him at all. But I think we got him. I think it would have been a really.
He would have popped up.
It would have been a really.
What up, motherfuckers?
No, people are missing the forest for the trees with that one. It would have been a super propaganda tool to release a picture of him dead. You know,
but don't you feel like maybe we
that's
killed him too prematurely, and then we just sat on it for a while. Like I always think that's one of my weird, unfounded theories. I'm like, I bet we knew. I bet we found him like a month after it happened, killed him, and just sat on it for a while.
Well, we could have gotten him really quickly and like Tora Bora and all that kind of stuff. We acted quickly enough, but so it's just
because the perfect example is like we got Saddam. That shit was everywhere. Remember we got that.
Yeah, well, no
how
one
many
gave a
times
fuck
do you
about
see how many times do you see the shot of him like coming out of the fucking hole
Yeah.
with his hair all fucked up and he's like, where am I? And then they showed his body being hung. I mean, that's
the video of him
disgusting.
actually getting hanged was like really disturbing.
That was very disturbing.
Because
it's also really,
it's hard to say, but even like my feeling on that was like, doesn't he like he's definitely a war criminal, is definitely gonna get executed, but doesn't he deserve like due process? You know, this almost seemed like
I thought he had a trial.
He
Didn't
did have a trial.
yeah, it was a kangaroo court. You know, like they should have went to the Hague or something. But and I say that not as someone who likes Saddam Hussein. No one likes Saddam Hussein. I'm just saying like you
Colin Moriarty,
can't
I
set
love
terrible precedents where you let the people you destroy a government, let his opponents try him, and then just execute him like that. To me, I'm like that's not justice. You know, like like when I saw that, I'm like that's not a good look for us. To let that happen. We had nothing to do with it, but we let it happen. So,
but the verbiage the president was saying around that time too was very, very, very like very harsh. Where he was like, I ordered he was basically ordered the assassination of another dictator, it was very interesting to hear that. It was very interesting to hear I'm sorry, I'm mixing this up with Osama bin Laden. My apologies. When Osama bin Laden was found, he basically was like, yes, I ordered them to go in there and.
Well, that's different. I mean, that's. Anyone would have taken a shot at Osama bin Laden.
I'm
not saying
that
Saddam Hussein's a good person. He's a fucking awful person. I'm just saying that was a little fucked up. Just the way that all went down, the way that video was released, and I don't know. It doesn't matter. But he's dead, and that's what he deserved. But anyway, I don't know if you guys have any things you want to bring up, because I mean those are the ones that kind of stick out to me. Roswell, of course, is another one, but
aliens are always the ones that I'm fascinated by.
What did you think of the missile test then?
I find it highly suspect that there was a missile explosion 5 weeks after we found a Dyson sphere. Right, Kevin? Highly suspect, Kevin. No, I don't know. I mean, you never know. I feel like all those can be very easily explained with they are just testing new technology that occasionally goes awry, right? There's always the flying
in the middle of the
saucers and all that
night
stuff.
in Los Angeles.
Telling you, man, that's how you test it.
Yeah,
you gotta weave it.
Let's fight over
you
one of
gotta
the most
weave it out.
popular cities. People,
didn't
everyone
actually-
has a camera. Yeah, that's a great idea.
I
Test
didn't
it there,
actually
George.
read the story on that. So what was the official word from
There was some
from the
missile
government?
thing.
it's
they
a war
were doing.
game, I think.
Yeah.
over Los Angeles? I'd be like, hey, stop doing that.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
Bro,
There's definitely something up with that, but that's not really a conspiracy theory. I mean, it is, but it's not what I'm like. Bad thing happens, or interesting thing happens, or like the moon landing, good things happen, and then how can you deconstruct it to make it seem like it doesn't happen, and what is the motivation behind it? Obviously, the motivation with the moon landing was huge. The motivation with JFK was nefarious, but huge depending on who you're talking to and what the motivation was. That's why it's so interesting to read, and that's why one of the things that works against the JFK assassination is that being anything more than just a crazy person in a building is that there's just way too many motives for way too many groups. And so like, who is it? Who was it? You know?
Mhm.
And, but out of all of them, if someone were to like lay out 10 of these things or all of the ones we talked about today and said like, which one is the one that was fucking not the way they told it, I would be like JFK assassination.
Oh, yeah.
10 out of 10 times.
So here's a question then. We've talked about ghosts on this show. We've talked about aliens. We've talked about Bigfoot. I mean, not this episode, but the show, right? All the time. And I was talking about how much I used to love those shows about all these paranormal and things,
Mhm.
but how technology and the camera and the video and the YouTube and the live streaming have crushed all that. I don't know about you, like 9/11 seems like it was yesterday to me, but in reality, in terms of technology, it was a lifetime ago. Because of where we are, our conspiracy theories, at least in the way we're talking about them right now, a thing of the past. Like, right? Because I don't think there's like a conspiracy for 9/11 necessarily. I don't know. I want to know more about the Pentagon. I want video footage of what happened at the Pentagon, right?
Well, what is the motivation for bombing the Pentagon?
I mean, that's what I'm saying is I've never thought through this theory. I think something weird happened there. I want to know why something weird happened there. But what I'm saying is, like, now if that was to happen, there'd be 14 different angles of it, right? Mm-hmm. When that fucking jet a few years ago bottomed out at SFO, was like, well, I'm just going to wait for the footage. And sure enough, some random guy was on a hotel balcony shooting planes landing and had the whole crash on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it seems like you can't get away with anything anymore. There'd be footage everywhere.
I mean,
of
I think
everything
there
you've done.
though, is the video fake or not? I think that's the new conspiracy theory of what's real when everyone has cameras and everyone has After Effects.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Nick, let's make a fake video.
We make fake videos every day.
But I mean a good one.
Okay. I think we made one last night.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't waste a lot of time thinking about conspiracy theories because I don't research things to begin with, so I really have no knowledge base, period. But yeah, I mean, I think that there is something to be said when there's a gigantic fireball in the sky. There's got to be a little more to that. I think it's natural curiosity. It's like, even if it was a military thing, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
What happened?
I mean, I enjoy conspiracy theories because the people that get really into them, like, they're fucking whack jobs in the best way, where like they get so into it and they have such like proof and evidence, and they're just like, well, how come this shit happened? Like the questions.
Yeah, no, it's
the questions are always like, you're right.
You sit there and you're like,
You're
that is a
right.
great point.
Yeah.
Why would that
But
be
it's like
that
the
way?
problem is you can adapt it to literally anything. So going back to Loose Change, a couple years ago, the guys made I forgot what it was called, but the Star Wars Loose Change,
Oh, those guys. Okay, I know what you're talking
where they
about.
took
now,
Loose
right?
Change, but then applied it to the Death
Empire,
Star,
yeah.
and how the whole thing was a conspiracy theory, and that's fucking hilarious because everything they said was right. What was it called? Luke's Change, which is amazing.
That's really funny.
But yeah, like that video is so funny because it is the same as any of the conspiracy theory things, except it's about something that's make believe. I was gonna say made up. Make believe got stuck in there.
It's okay. It happens to the best of us. Things get stuck in places all the time.
Oh yeah, like last night.
Okay, well, that was good. Stop it with the bounce chicka wawas. All right, my topic. Mine, of course, comes from the community. I don't know why it would be, of course. This comes from patreon.com/kindafunny. Thank you so much to TackTrack for going over there, supporting us, getting one of his topics read on the show. And of course, thank you all. Yes, you. Thank you all for supporting us in the month of October. Here is the crawl of names for everyone who supported us on patreon.com/kindafunny in October. But this is strictly about TackTrack. He writes in and says, albums and or songs that defined periods of your life. What albums did you play to death throughout your lives? What songs did you and do you currently listen to on repeat? Finally, what is the most embarrassing song you secretly loved? Tim, Greg, Nick, Colin, Portillo, and Kevin, you're the best. Now, we've done
You the best.
music recommendations recently. That was like 93 or 97 episode, whatever. This isn't that, though. This is very specifically, songs that are, or albums that are attached to moments in your life.
Yeah. Okay.
What springs to mind for you, Timothy?
So many. So damn many. I mean, my formative years of becoming who I am, which I'd say is about around 13. So, when I was in middle school, like, I think that's when I became who I am. And Reanimation by Linkin Park and Eminem's second and third albums. So Marshall Mathers LP and Eminem Show. Those definitely stick to that time. I want to give a real shout out to My Heart Will Go On. From
Nice.
the Titanic soundtrack.
Yeah, oh yeah, I know. Celine Dion.
Little Celine Dion.
Which that holds a very nice emotional resonance with me from when I was younger. Don't know why.
It was.
Oh,
You
yeah, I mean,
knew
it's-
it was epic, and you knew the loves between
So
Jack and
I
Rose.
enjoyed that a lot. And
Great film.
It was that was like one of the first songs that I wanted to own.
Oh,
And I was very young when that happened.
Did you sing to it when
Of
you were a
course.
kid?
Kidding me? Yeah, duh.
Okay.
But I recorded
Just
that shit
checking.
on the cassettes when it came on the radio. Shout out to Radio Disney.
I
and
thought you said you
1310.
recorded your young self singing
No.
along with the song. I'd like to hear that or see that.
I wish. On my fucking Home Alone 2 Talk Boy.
Wow.
oh yeah, it's awkward.
Yeah, that would have been real good. No, but then after that, it's all the same things. Like the music recommendations kind of just come back. But Tone Deaf's first album, Archetype, and the extended fam album, Happy Fuck You Songs, when I was 2005 to 2007 era. Like those things just fucking changed my life. And I was just like, holy shit, I love music. And that is when I started thinking I was better than everyone else. Because I was like, I'm listening to this shit that's better than the shit you're listening to. And
that's when you went hipster.
That's when I learned a lot about myself and who I am, and pushing through that to where I'm at now, where I realize I still love those things, but I'm not better than anyone else. Like, I just enjoy this, and it's like other people can enjoy whatever the fuck they want to enjoy. And I think that that's an important learning curve that you got to get through. But at the time, I felt better than everyone.
Nice. Colin, what is the album title for Collective Soul with Gel and all that on there?
I don't remember.
Oh,
I can
think
see the
still
album
get it.
cover.
Yeah, it was. And remember, the case was yellow.
Yeah.
They made a yellow case.
Yeah, I
for
can
for
see
some-
it.
I'm on the
The
internet.
Yellow Submarine.
The Yellow Submarine by
that
Collective
accurate?
Soul.
No, I can totally see it.
Hold on. Collective.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it
Soul-
self-titled?
Shine? Was that the album title though?
Shine brightly tonight.
I don't even know how to. I haven't looked up how to look.
Google the
I don't have
images.
Spotify. You know that.
Images.
I'll get it.
Image search.
The Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1, 2, 3, and 4 soundtracks also. That's just that whole time of my life. Defined. And the Gorillaz self-titled album.
Hints, allegations, and things left unsaid.
Yeah, that's it.
Happy.
There you go. No wonder I don't remember
Clint
that.
Eastwood.
I got sunshine.
In a bag
So
of
good.
news. When I think of this, this topic came through, like there's tons of songs and albums that stick out. And this Collective Soul
Yeah, that's the
album
first record I
takes
did.
me back to 5th grade outdoor ed when
Yeah, I remember this. The guy shouting.
Which I'm sorry, I had a picture of you in outdoor ed that I'm gonna write down.
I have tons of photos that I will gladly go get for you, and they will be as ridiculous as you probably imagine them to be.
Yes.
Yes. 5th grade outdoor ed, yeah, where it was like, yeah, you get. Did everybody have outdoor ed? Is
No,
that a
I don't
thing?
know what outdoor ed is.
We you know
PE.
suburbs of Chicago. No,
Oh.
not PE. Suburbs of Chicago. It was like it was our first overnight trip as a class somewhere
oh, okay.
where we all piled.
Oh,
in
we call that
buses.
nature's classroom.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
We
Really?
drove up to
Nature's classroom.
northern Illinois or southern Wisconsin. I no longer remember.
That is some weird.
and there's like cabins and stuff like that, and you go and
Yeah,
we
I
made
hated that
paper
shit.
out of garbage and shit like what I mean.
Paper
Like,
out of
made
garbage.
Paper out of garbage.
that's what it was like. Yeah, where
Nature's
you like you
classroom.
went around and you got like fucking trees and shit and all this garbage, and then you fucking made it into pressed it into paper.
Pulp.
Yeah, stupid ass garbage. So you're supposed to remember fucking nature. Fuck nature is what I say.
I'm
But
with you.
no, and it was like, but it was like on the bus ride up there, we were all like so stoked to be like going on this trip away from your parents. And there's like chaperones. It's like
Yeah.
what you see in the movies, right? Or TV shows or whatever. And so, yeah, everybody had albums that we were trading around and doing stuff with. I remember one kid got in trouble because he made a point to show like the Offspring, what was it? What's that album? With the Smash, yeah. With the back and like all the fucking curse words on it and stuff like that. But yeah, I remember Collective Soul just rocking out to that shit. Like that was like
That's
the jam.
awesome.
Like so like whenever I hear one song from that, like like that takes me back to that moment. You know what I mean? Like that's like wrapped up in
Oh,
it.
wow,
And I've always
okay.
talked about like Pinkerton for me was I had a
Mario
summer.
World?
Yeah, said that summer with Matt Noel, and then I bought my SNES, and then I just went home and played Mario World over and over while listening to Pinkerton over and over again.
That's
And then
awesome.
the Jay and Silent Bob soundtrack
Mhm.
For Strikes Back, got it the week before I went to Mizzou, and then got there and then listened to that like my first time on my own, again away from parents or whatever. And then 9/11 happens, and everything becomes super important and weird, and like listening to that album over and over and over again because it was such a good mix of just different stuff.
Yeah.
Nick.
Yeah. There's a lot of this is an intricate one, guys. We have to unpack this a little bit.
All right, we're unpacking everybody.
Because you mentioned songs that you're embarrassed by. I'm embarrassed by every song I listen to, largely because I don't know who the artist is and I don't know the actual lyrics. More often than not, I just guess Drake.
You're with Tim, so that's probably right.
So Jimmy, he's very popular right now, so maybe it's true. One of the most embarrassing songs I think in recent years that I listened to, not because I listened to it, but because I think one of my friends caught me listening to it on Spotify. This is when Spotify would like alert people like what you were listening to, and my
Nick
friend.
Scarpino's listening to this.
My friend's like, please stop listening to fucking Miley Cyrus. Like, stop. Whatever that, sweating
can't
like a
stop.
sweater girl,
Yeah.
a lot of sweat. Hands in the air like she's sweating. I don't know.
That's it. You're nailing it.
Did I
Keep
nail
going. Guys, we
There
can't
are-
sweat so much now. Somebody gonna sweat somewhere. Some now sweat.
Okay. I can't even remember the lyrics. There are,
You never remembered the lyrics. None of those were real lyrics.
it's not? You told me I nailed it.
I lied.
There's a lot of albums I think that I remember. I don't really recall any ones that stick. I guess Blood Sugar Sex Magic was a huge album for me. Chili Peppers. That I listened to a lot. I only had like 3 albums as a kid. I had Smells Like Teen Spirit, which was is that the name of the album?
Nevermind.
Nevermind was the name of the album. And then what was Pearl Jam's 10? No.
10. Yeah,
Yes.
the pink one. Yeah.
Those are the 3 albums I remember when I was a kid. And then I remember my brother had this album that was I guess it was Rage Against the Machines. Was it self-titled? The first one with the guy on fire. That
Self-titled.
shot of the monk on fire.
Yep.
That
That
was
fucking seminal record.
fuck. That was so good.
Oh, that's a good
He
record.
used to play that a lot for me, and I was like, this is amazing. So there were those. I mean, whenever I think of actually a time that defined my life, it was the early 90s, just because that was when I was actually becoming aware of what the fuck was happening around me and music and all that stuff. I do remember specifically listening to the Batman soundtrack. No, not Batman Forever. That was actually when it got good, when Seal was like...
Yeah, Seal's like, fucking, let's wreck this.
It's funny because that was the song. That was the song I was gonna say. It was like, I'm not really ashamed of it, but that song is fucking awesome.
Oh, it's good.
Everything about that song is awesome. The composition, the lyrics, everything about it is. It's perfect. It's like a perfect song.
No, it is a perfect song. It fucking is a perfect song.
Did he
Perfect
write
Man.
that for the movie? Is that the backstory? Did they like just come to him, or did he already have that going, and then that just?
I didn't even know it
propelled
was
him?
in the movie.
I mean, the video for it is all is
I never
like
saw
him
it.
on a building and
Yeah.
Batman doing
pretty
Batman
pretty
shit.
seminal video from like you
Nicole
were kind
Kidman's
of young when
being-
that
Yeah.
you were like 5 when that came out.
Mm.
I'm talking about
I
the
love that
original
fucking song.
Bat Dance by Prince. I had the single, and then you flipped it over. It was another weird song, and I never listened to it. I just listened to the shit out of it. And my mom was like, "You really like that song?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." But it's the only thing I have right now before Batman comes out.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna. And then they played the music video, and it was like fucking Prince, like with little bat wings, and it was so weird. And I'm like, I
And
don't
you were
fucking
rock
like
hard,
this at
you're like,
all.
what's
I didn't even
happening?
like Prince. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy?
Give it to us, Nick.
And like,
Thank you.
you know, and.
This reminds me, I gotta download Raspberry Beret.
Oh no, I like Prince now. Don't
No,
get me wrong.
I know. I'm just
I love
saying.
Prince now.
Gotta remember to get that.
Gotta. He's an amazing artist.
Computer Blue.
Oh my god.
You got to get 2 in a row sometimes.
Christ.
But yeah, no, music was never crazy my thing. But yeah, there are some.
See,
some
that's the
albums.
thing is like music's not crazy my thing either, but there's just those things of that you hear that and it takes me back immediately. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was talking about Hey Ya, right? Like in college, right? Like I talk about this all the time. We throw all house parties, 4 days a week or
I
whatever.
love the thought of you listening to that song.
Hey Ya, hey Ya, like we had a shitty
He always
boombox,
tries to
right?
match the clap and misses it.
We had this dumbass boombox or whatever that we had to fucking people would come on and put party mixes on there, and like when that I'll never forget being mid Caps game, and it was a heated Caps game, and there's like 30 people in this tiny shitty house or whatever, and when that song came on, everything stopped. Everyone stopped playing Caps and just jumping around being a fucking asshole. You know what I mean?
They're all
Like, was just
shaking it
weird.
like a salt shaker.
That was that double album, right?
Yeah.
Shake
Which
it
is
like a
such a-
Polaroid picture.
such a
Actually,
goddamn-
you idiot.
Disappointment.
Yeah, I remember I remember a lot of my friends being like, "This album
That was the beginning of the end.
Mother's Milk. Was that another album?
Yeah, that's an
Chili
early
Peppers,
that's an early Chili Peppers. That's a pre.
milk and
No, I was
That's
gonna- I
like
get
a
confused.
seminal Chili Peppers
Blood
record.
Sugar Sex Magic is one I'm thinking of. That's
Yeah,
one that's got,
Mother's
like,
Milk
Under
is the
Bridge.
one before it.
Mother's
Yeah, you're
Milk.
not thinking of Mother's Milk.
I'm not looking at Mother's Milk.
I don't think you would know Mother's Milk.
I don't think I do. No. I think-
I don't know. You guys say music's not your thing. I grew up in a very musical household. It was very important to my family. So I mean, depending on the time and place you're talking about, there's just talking to a friend of mine recently about how like my 3 siblings and my parents all introduced me to different music that I think my musical taste is like super eclectic. I think you'd have a really
It
hard
is.
time finding anyone who has more eclectic
How's
musical taste
Ghost
than me. Period.
BC doing for you?
Awesome. Ghost is awesome. But like I love almost everything. Like you're not gonna find it's not like I'll casually listen to this. Like I really love like all this random shit, and I think it's just from the way I grew up. So we were talking about Days of Future Past by the Moody Blues, which is like a really fucking awesome record. I mean, that reminds me of my dad, and that reminds me of being really young. That's like one of the first bands Moody Blues was like the first band I ever remember listening to. And I think I told a story about how my parents bought a Crown Victoria and they put the tape in. This was not for Days of Future Past, though. This was that weird like new wave-ish album that they released in like the mid 80s. And I remember listening to one of the Moody Blues songs, and they're the first band I remember hearing. A lot of Beatles records for my mom, Sgt. Pepper and Magical Mystery Tour, especially. Those albums are really important to me. It remind me of my driving back and forth to hockey games with my mom. As far as like my own music is concerned, Green Day's Dookie and No Doubt's Tragic Kingdom are super important records to me. I know every fucking inch of those albums in terms of the drums and in terms of Trey Cool. I can keep up way better with Adrian Young than Trey Cool, but I just know those albums very well. And again, they remind me of hockey and locker rooms, and just we would put on those albums and get dressed up and get hyped up or whatever with those records. And I remember those a lot. Every 311 album was an event for me. I remember getting Blue Album and Transistor and going back and getting Music and Grassroots, which were their earlier albums. And Sound System came out October 12th, 1999. I remember it was 2 days before my birthday. I remember my dad went and got it for me, and it was like part of my early birthday present. I remember cutting class that day with my girlfriend at the time, and she was in 11th grade, I was in 10th grade, and we like went to this like stairwell like that no one went to in school and just like listened to the album
That's awesome. That's a great one.
I remember that like yesterday. She and I went to
then?
nothing happened. I was too young and stupid to
take the hint.
to know it, and she was too. She and I are good friends. We went to Northeastern together and everything. We knew each other for a long time. But let's see. A great memory I have. Dredge is one of my favorite bands, and their album LCL is arguably my favorite album of all time. And I will never forget when I heard it for the first time. Ramon showed it to me, and I remember we were roommates in college, and he started playing this song. The song was called Sansin. And I turned around and I'm like, what the fuck was that? And he's like, it's Dredge. You want to hear it? And I remember just laying on my bed and listening to this record all the way through. It's a concept album, and it's really awesome. It reminds me of that time. There's a great band that no one's heard of called Open Hand. Released this album called You and Me. That's not on Spotify, unfortunately. A lot of their other stuff is, and that album really reminds me of the summer of 2005. It's very emotional. It's very sad. Because I was emotional and sad in 2005 as I am in 2015. Yeah, so like there's little different touchstones like that. But I mean, I can go on and on. Weezer's Blue Album reminds me of my sister's old boyfriend Skip, who bought it for me. Because I was like, he was a guitar teacher, and he actually helped buy my first drum kit because he worked at a music store, and I remember driving around with him. He had like a Camaro or something, and we used to listen to the Blue Album. And
This guy sounds
That's
awesome.
awesome.
And
Skip's cool.
yeah, we used to go to like Taco Bell and stuff like that. He was like really cool to me. Like he
Yeah.
was 6 years older than me. I used to think I was like in 5th grade, and he was in like 11th grade. And I used to think he was like
he's the coolest.
he was like the
man.
coolest, and and I remember him buying me a copy of the Blue Album. It was like 95 or 96, so it was like a couple of years after it came out.
Nice. Yeah, for me, I mean, like you're bringing up old stuff that I'm thinking of too. Like when I think when it's I looked it up, Carole King, It's Too Late or whatever. Like that takes me right back to the motorhome because my parents had a Carole King tape that they would put in and just listen to over and over and over again. And then this still always cracks me up that my mom liked Carly Simon a lot, right? And Carly Simon, of course, You're So Vain, like her huge hit or whatever.
Yeah.
But she didn't have that. When she got the Mustang and had a CD player, she bought like Carly Simon's newest album and listened to it over and over. So I have so many I know that album start to finish of all these Carly Simon songs no
That's
one's
so
ever
funny.
heard. But I remember distinctly driving around in the summer in our suburb of Chicago with the top down on this Mustang listening to that.
Yeah, that's good for me. I think really thinking about this and hearing Colin talk, the biggest example of this question to me is anything by the Rolling Stones, because my dad was like obsessed, and my mom too, obsessed with the Rolling Stones. So like growing up, that's just those songs on repeat, like all the albums, every single song. And it's like it's such an intense correlation between the two things that like when I hear any Rolling Stones song, I can smell weed. Like I can smell my
You're
dad.
probably not the only person.
Like,
that
but it's just weird. Like it just reminds me of my dad's room and just talking to him or just being with him and just being around him and just the smell that I didn't know was weed at the time.
Yeah.
But like that was just my dad. But it's just like it's so weird that when I hear it, like almost don't hear the Rolling Stones perform that song. I hear my dad singing it. You know, and it's such a weird thing.
No, that's the Carole King thing. I hear my mom sing it.
Yeah.
Did you guys have? Was it a thing for you? Right? Did you ever have that person in your life that had the fucking subwoofer in the back of their car?
Yeah, like everyone I went to high school with.
Was it okay? So that was me too, except for me. I had a hatchback. I was like, it's not gonna work. It's a sky blue 88.
Oh, dude, it shouldn't stop you. I knew a dude that had a station wagon
disgusting.
with a subwoofer in the back.
Okay.
So
my
he was fucking balling out.
My brother was heavy into it, and my buddy Stu was heavy into it.
Stu!
And so, big Stu. And when Stu got one in his Jetta, it was like an old school Jetta. It was his dad's Jetta. It was like
classic.
this is even pre Jetta. Like you look at this body type and you're like, that is one of those weird like Volkswagen cars that only hippies and German people drove for the longest time. But Stu loved it and he took great care of it. He got like slamming rims on it and like lowered the fucking thing so it couldn't go over speed bumps.
Nick's buddy Stu
And
with them slamming rims.
Dude, and one of the things he got was that big fucking nasty subwoofer in the back. It's like those
subwoofer?
the big box that basically made your trunk useless.
Yeah.
You just open it up and you could squeeze maybe a baseball bat in there. That was
Yeah.
fucking it. And I was like, this is cool. And then I think it was around the same time, and I might be mixing up my dates, that he got that car in the subwoofer that Prodigy became a thing. You guys remember Prodigy?
Firestarter.
Firestarter.
The album with the crab on it.
Yeah.
Fat of the Land it was called.
And like that point where your fucking ears would
That was a
just
great
blow
record.
out.
Yeah.
I just remember rolling with Stu and I'd be like, it would finish And we'd pull up to a stop sign, and I'd be like, did you want? He's like, yeah, we'll do it one more time, and hit repeat on that song. And we would just keep fucking listening to Firestarter.
Yeah.
Like a
You
week
want a
straight.
Firestarter?
Twisted Firestarter.
Those guys were fucking weird.
They
I
were
bought that.
fucking weird.
I remember buying
They had a
that
good sound,
album and Wallflowers Bringing Down the Horse on the same day in the summer of 1997. I love that record. That Prodigy record is awesome. That's also a great album cover.
Around that time was Blue by Eiffel 65.
It was like a year later. I think Full 65. I think was what 98. I think I fucking hate that song. That
I love
that
song.
That song is maybe, and I'm not even being facetious, maybe the worst song ever.
Which one's blue? Blue.
Like it almost sounds like a joke. Like the verses, like not so much the chorus or the composition, but like the verses. I'm like, are you fucking?
The verses are
kidding me?
horrible. The composition's fucking dope though.
No,
that piano, that fake ass piano, the electric piano.
But it's like why?
hella
Like
sick.
he's like, and
Hella
it's it's like I'm like, oh my god! I remember hearing that song and like I'm like, this shit sucks.
That's how I felt about. That's how I felt with Shaggy's "You're My Angel." I thought that was a joke. Like, is this? I kept waiting for the parody. I was like, why is this guy singing like a frog? What is happening?
Wasn't the blue song in like Iron Man or something?
Iron Man 3 opened with it because
Yeah.
it was like a period thing.
And everyone fucking lost their mind. You guys were like, "Oh my god, this is
so exciting.
This is a fucking poetry." And I was like,
I
I
hope
hated
they-
this
I
song
hope they-
then. I hate it now. I don't want to
It was-
fucking listen to
It
whatever
was
it's
me and Alex Solovita, so you can imagine
Yeah.
the
Oh.
excitement.
Oh,
level.
that
And I
that
was like,
song is
why
fucking. It's
that
that and
song?
Aqua.
Barbie Girl?
Which we were talking about the other day. The only redeeming quality about Barbie Girl was that girl was really hot. I remember.
The other one there is We Like to Party by the
we
Venya
like
Boys.
to party. Oh
Yeah.
god, yeah.
Oh, I'm down on that.
There
as
was a
soon as I
lot
get
of
home.
weird shit going on in the late '90s and these like just really bad
There's a
like
lot of
one-off
there's
singles.
still a lot of weird shit.
There
going
is,
on.
but it was a different time where singles like Macarena is a good example where there were still albums. But God help you can name another one of those.
Mambo
fucking guys.
Number 5.
Yeah, like
Oh my
there's
God,
but like
yes.
they weren't selling like it wasn't iTunes like where you're selling dollar singles. Like these tracks were selling, making these fucking albums, these arbitrary bullshit albums go platinum like 5 or 6 times. I'm sure there's some fucking songs out there that made some of these things go diamond, which is an insane kind of like amount of
like
sales.
the hamster dance.
It's like holy Christ,
Like
man.
with
Nonsense.
the Rembrandts, right?
See,
With
but
when they did the Friends
Oh,
theme
yeah,
song,
yeah.
and suddenly
Oh.
everyone had that fucking album.
Yeah,
we still have that, right? We have what was the Gundam Style? That's
Yeah.
another one of those where
right,
I'm like,
but
that
that
is
is
still
you
an
can-
album.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that I mean that singles. I mean that guy made millions of dollars, and that song I would argue is actually pretty good. Like what all things considered, because it's self-aware of how bad it is.
I guess it
which
is,
I don't
actually.
think
about it now. I'm
which-
like that sounds actually kind of dope, and then you watch the video and you're like, all
the
right.
video
So I
gives
guess
it away. The video totally gives it away that it's totally self-aware that it's bad. I don't think when the guys, those old ass men made Macarena, that they
Yeah, they were
were
just
what were they
making
called?
art, man.
OMD? No, that was not OMD. It's Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, which is a great '80s band. But it was something. Oh, Los Rios Boys or
Los Rios Boys.
No,
I
is
think.
that it? No, that's a different band.
I'll
That's a
look it up.
different
Kevin.
band.
Stop looking
Kevin's
at the,
on it.
Kevin, stop. No, he's on the chive right now. Kevin, get off the chive. Get off
Phones.
Reddit/r.
Because weren't
Gone
Los Rios
Wild
Boys like a
slash-
legitimate?
No,
Yeah,
that's
look
the
up Los
Lonely
Lobos
Boys.
Boys.
Los Lonely Boys. So maybe you're right. Yeah, Los,
Los
Lonely Boys.
Rios.
Look up Rio de Janeiro.
Hey Google, look up Macarena artist.
Okay, Google. Text Paula. Show me pictures of
This
your
is a
flesh.
true story. This sounds like I'm making this up, but this is a true ass fucking story. When I was young, I was convinced that the Macarena was made by Kevin's mom's friends.
because they did it so much every time anywhere.
That's
they were like-
racist.
Every time I was at your house, no, she acted like they were fucking best friends. Like the way that Kevin's mom was pushing the goddamn Macarena, she was proud of that thing. Like it was one of those things where it's like I could have sworn it was like her friend's thing that she was like, no, this is fucking awesome.
The Macarena was the
What's
worst
the
thing.
answer, Kevin?
Trying to figure it out.
Oh my god, I could have found
You
this answer
put
in 2 seconds.
Macarena into Google.
Well, he's-
Macarena
no,
Wikipedia
he
page.
doesn't-
Don't touch me.
He doesn't
Macarena
use-
Wiki.
He doesn't use Google because he's on an Android phone. They have their own special Google.
That true?
True at all.
Isn't that how your phone works, Kevin?
There's not like I can't I type my
Los Del
brand.
Rio.
Los Del Rio.
That's
Thank you, iPhone.
I was close.
I don't know. The other thing that's funny, I was thinking is my love of hip hop from when I was really young, which comes from my siblings. I remember my brother used to bring me to the mall. I was 8 maybe, and he was like 20, and he would come home from college or whatever, and he had this like shitty fucking Geo that he'd drive, and he wouldn't take me anywhere unless I looked cool. So he'd put me in he'd take like these old skater jeans he had and like cut them so I'd fit in them and like put me in like an Adidas shirt and like old Adidas or whatever that and make me, and then we listen to like Midnight Marauders or Balloon Mind State or one of these really old great hip hop records. and we go to the arcade and play like Mortal Kombat or something like that.
Yeah.
So those things remind me of that. Also, shout out to De La Soul's "Stakes Is High," which is the best hip hop album
It's
of all
amazing.
time.
It's fucking amazing. There's so many moments like that I'll never forget. This is not music, but I will never forget when we were at IGN and it was announced that Disney bought Star Wars.
Yeah.
Finding out that they announced they're making 7, 8, and 9. And the first thing I did was call Kevin and be like, dude, did you hear? And he's like, no. Disney just bought Star Wars. They're making 7, 8, and 9. And it was just like a fucking experience where we're like, I can't believe this is happening. But like my first thought was to fucking call him. Bringing it back to music, I'll never forget when the song Forever by Drake, Kanye, Lil Wayne, and Eminem came out. It came out of fucking nowhere. And this was the first time Eminem had like really released anything of was even featured on a song for years after Relapse. So he had 3 albums that were fucking classics. Then he comes out with Encore and it was like, oh, this is bad. Then he came out with Relapse that was like, oh no, this is you're going down a fucking damn bad path. And then all of a sudden this Forever comes out and it's like, okay, these are all the hottest people in the mainstream game right now. There's got to be something here. I remember listening to it, and then Eminem's verse, he comes at the end and he just fucking tears it apart, like destroys it. And I was like, holy shit, I can't believe that just happened. I called my brother. I'm like, dude, you need to come home right now. Like, stop what you're doing. You need to fucking come home now. I didn't even tell him what it was. And I just pressed play on the song, made him listen to all 3 verses before I got to it. And he's like, whatever, it's just a fucking song. And then Eminem came on and he heard and he just knew. I didn't even need to tell him. He's just like, holy shit. And like, you need to listen to that verse. Eminem fucking kills it. And he has not done anything even close since.
Didn't he have sex with Christina Aguilera?
That was a long
No,
time
they
ago.
had a fight.
Didn't he have sex with Britney Spears?
I think Fred Durst had sex with Christina Aguilera.
Did Fred Durst have sex with Eminem?
Possibly. I suspect that they don't like each other very much. By the way, shout out to Limp Bizkit.
How do they not like each other anymore?
Oh, Limp Bizkit was Limp
Shout out
Bizkit
to
was a
Limp Bizkit.
fucking cultural phenomenon.
Hell yeah, that's the one band where I'm
Cultural
like,
phenomenon.
where it's like Limp Bizkit sucks. I'm like, fuck you. We all love
We
Limp
all
Bizkit.
fucking
We
love
all
Limp Bizkit.
loved Limp Bizkit, and you know what? I still love Limp Bizkit. $3 Bill, y'all, and Significant Other and Hot Dog Flavored Water are fucking seminal high school records.
What
to
was
me.
rolling on? What?
Hot Dog
Hot Dog Flavored Water.
I remember because that was another one where that when I
Track
turned
6, if I remember
18
correctly.
in that weekend I turned 18 for some reason. I went out with some friends or whatever, and I remember borrowing the mom's Mustang, the drop top Ford Mustang, and driving around listening to Rolling over and over again.
Yeah.
You talk about repeating a song, and like Undertaker was coming out to it, so it was the hotness.
That's an underrated.
Oh my
That's an
God,
underrated record. It was very produced, but it was really good. There's really good songs on that. Boiler is like a really good song. My Way is a really good song. I
Break Stuff.
break stuff's on
I like
Significant
My Way
Other.
or the Highway.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Someday
Is that on Hot Dog?
you'll
No.
think
Oh,
no.
things
Break
my
Stuff?
way.
What's the opening of?
Hot Dog is the opening of Hot
Really?
Dog Flavored Water.
Man.
What,
The one where
which
he
one
says
was on
fuck over and over
chocolate covered starfish?
That's Hot Dog. Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water is.
But what is
the name of the album?
Rolling on?
I thought there were two
Rolling is
separate albums.
on Hot Dog Flavored
I
Water.
thought there were 2 albums. I thought their second
No,
album.
Chocolate
was called-
Starfish. No, the first album's $3 Bill, y'all.
All right.
That's the one with Faith on it.
I love
The
Faith.
Significant Other is the second album. That's the one with like Nookie and Break Stuff and Rearranged.
Oh, that's
The
right.
third
I did it
album
all for- that
is-
was the big one. I did it all for the Nookie.
Yeah,
that was a big one.
I mean, Chocolate Starfish I think was even bigger, and that's the one with Rollin' and My Generation and My Way, or not My Way. No, My Way's on there, and Boiler. And then West Left, and then it was Results May Vary, which was that weird record that everyone hated. But Limp Bizkit will always remind me of high school because everyone fucking loved Limp Bizkit and Korn and POD
and Linkin
and all
Park.
and Linkin. Yeah, fucking Hybrid Theory was
Amazing.
when that came out 2000, fall 2000. That album hit. Everyone fucking loved that album.
What's so funny is, for me, Break Stuff was on it because I got some jank ass mix CD that was just a bunch of Limp Bizkit things.
Oh.
But someone wrote Hot Dog Flavored Water in fucking permanent marker on it. So to me,
To you, that was
Yeah,
how
that
I
was
gotcha.
track
Yeah,
one.
been there. I've been there for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh
You
no,
get
yeah,
an
Break
album-
Stuff. Break Stuff is I remember that video very well. Yeah, so those albums remind me of and fucking Slipknot. That first Slipknot record reminds me of high school. Reminds me of my friend in his Subaru fucking station wagon with his sub, and but he never played hip hop. He'd always play like Lost Prophets or fucking is like a fucking you can't talk about Lost Prophets anymore at all because of what happened with that singer. Like I haven't.
What
Do
happened
you
with the
guys
singer?
do you guys
No.
know any of this stuff?
No.
Lost
Wait,
Prophets was like
go
a
back to
really
me. What's Lost Prophets?
Lost Prophets. I really loved the Lost Prophets, and I haven't listened to them once because I can't listen to them anymore. Their singer went away to prison for abusing and like sexually assaulting or something like underage girls at shows and stuff like that, like for years. And like total, I'll find the information for you because I don't want to get it lost. But when that happened, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like I loved
That
those
happened
guys.
recently, right? I remember you talking about that.
Yeah. And so people really loved that first Lost Prophets record where I was from, and you know, obviously like the Long Island bands were really big where I was from too. So like people really loved Glassjaw, that first brand new record, those first two brand new records. People really liked Taking Back Sunday, obviously. Billy Joel was fucking massive to everyone. I mean, Billy Joel's like an icon where I'm from. So
Was it the Blink 182
Ian
album
Watkins is the guy
with the
named-
nurse?
Yeah.
that's the second record. Yeah.
Man, I don't remember one Blink 182 song, but I remember that album.
You remember
Criminal charge: attempted rape
Nobody
of a
remembers
child under
Blink-182
13,
there.
sexual assault of a child under 13, taking, making, or possessing indecent images of children, possessing an extreme pornographic image involving a sex act on an animal. That's yeah. It says Ian David Carslack Watkins is a Welsh musician and convicted sex offender. Watkins achieved prominence as a founding member, lead vocalist, and lyricist of the rock band Lost Prophets. Lost Prophets disbanded in 2013 after Watkins was charged with sexual offenses in late 2012. In November 2013, he pleaded guilty to 13 charges, including the attempted rape and sexual assault of a child under 13. These offenses were committed against the infant children of two fans who were also convicted. He is currently in HM prison Long Larton, serving 29 years.
Holy shit.
So like once that happened, because I really, you know, a lot of my friends really like those, especially those first two Lost Prophets records. Although I think I actually reviewed the third Lost Prophets record for IGN Music back in the day. And once that happened, I'm like, I mean, how can you in good conscience ever listen to them ever again? You know,
It's hard. It's hard for me to watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off because Rooney got convicted.
did he?
Yeah.
Went down. Jeffrey, I forget the actor's name.
also
That was-
Howard the Duck. He was in Howard the
That was
Duck.
heartbreaking for me. Came around though. I still watched the movie.
It's just, I mean, it's disgusting. Like what some of these.
You overcame.
It's like a dark turn.
You
but-
overcame,
It's my
Nick.
favorite movie of all time. I'm like, yeah, this fucking sucks, but his performance in it is good. It's unfortunate.
just took a dark turn, but yeah, it's disgusting. Like what people like. I feel like, you know, you see
What do you
someone
want
like
to
the
say? It's a good movie.
No, it's just
I didn't know at the time the guy was diddling kids.
like it went from just the
Never mind.
hilarious. Now any word that starts with H, you add 4 H's before it starts.
What did I do in that sentence?
Hilarious.
Yeah, I don't remember. You said something that starts with an H that was not hilarious.
Tim,
But
you're
you added it.
mistaken.
And earlier for Ouija, you added it.
Ouija. Isn't that how it's spelled?
what.
Ouija.
Holy
With a bunch of
shit.
O's.
Anyway, what I was trying to say was that it's weird to see. It's weird like when you are really into a band. I remember seeing that first Lost Prophets. You know, talk about memories. I remember seeing the Lost Prophets video for Shinobi versus Dragon Ninja, which was like their first single, and that fucking song was really really awesome. I was in high school. I remember seeing that with my friend Jeff, and he had like a finished basement. I was like, who the fuck are these guys? It was on MTV2 or whatever. And I went and, got the record, and it's just weird like. You don't know who these fucking people are.
Yeah.
Like you really
Yeah.
don't know who these fucking people are.
Let's also be like, let's be clear about something though. Like, it's very, very dangerous looking up to rock stars. That's just the way it goes. Like, these guys aren't the moral leaders that we all want to make them out to be. Now they're actors,
Except
them,
for
that.
Usher.
Sure.
Thank you, Nick.
No, but you
Sure.
know what I was thinking? I was having an interesting conversation about the Lost Prophets specifically with a friend of mine not too long ago. I think it was actually with Ramon, where we were talking about the other guys in the band had no idea that this was happening. Like the other 5 guys in the
How do
band.
you not know what's happening?
Well, I mean, they all live their private lives. I mean, let's assume they're telling the truth. I assume that they're telling
But,
the
like,
truth.
didn't-
I have
wasn't
no
some
idea
of
what
it at
Tim's
concerts?
bedroom looks like.
So, but what I was saying was like that guy
I do.
demolished their entire livelihood.
Yeah.
You know, no one is ever gonna. That name is done. No one's ever gonna buy a Lost Prophets record again. No one's ever gonna see them tour.
You
even
can't
if they have a
trade
new
on
album.
that. You can't be like, I used to be a member of Lost
Yeah, like
Prophets.
they own those songs. Whoever he wasn't, I don't think one of the songwriters. So people with songwriting credits on their songs are done. Like it was like not only did he like hurt these people and hurt these kids and like fuck up their lives or whatever, he also like fucked all of the people that he was associated with professionally. And like all of their years of hard work where they were building a catalog and building a fan base and a following and all this kind of stuff, just totally thrown out the window. And it's just amazing. The point I'm trying to make is like they didn't even know him. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they didn't even know him, and they were in the band with him for
but you
15
got-
years, or whatever.
But like on some level, if he's doing that shit at the concerts, like you don't see that, you don't know that's happening. Like you don't think there's on some level. Like
I don't know if
some
he was
party
charged for
that's
anything
like,
that happened at concert. I
You know
might
what?
have
I'm just
misspoke
not
there.
gonna. I'm gonna turn a blind eye to this. Similar to like what was the football college football stuff that was happening at
Penn State.
Penn State, like that shit. Like people
No.
knew, and they were just like, this guy really wins a lot of games for us, so we're just gonna. Was it the coach? Was it
Jerry
the
Sandusky,
Yeah. Assistant coach.
assistant coach? Yeah. And he died though, right? He ended up having a heart attack and dying like right afterward.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
dead now. I don't know what he
Conspiracy.
died of, but yeah, he did die.
I don't know. It's conspiracy. And I don't want to know the answer to that. If someone put a fucking bullet in him, that's fine. But Seriously. I mean, this guy's serving 29 years now from this band. Hopefully they're fucking really hard. 29 years.
I'm sure they are.
Hopefully they're real hard. Because that's bullshit.
But yeah, I always just thought about like that like, you know, he didn't only hurt these fucking innocent kids and their families and all this kind of stuff, but like totally just blew this whole thing up for these other innocent. Presumably, I believe them that they don't know.
Sure.
I mean, why would you know? But they might not even really like each other. They all play in a band. They probably hate each other.
Look at Hall & Oates.
Sure.
But like I had a conversation where I'm like, someone brought that up. I think it might have been Ramon. I don't know. He'll remind me. He listens to the show, but where he was like, we were talking about. I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. Like those guys are done.
Yeah.
Like it's not like what happened with Sublime where they play with a new singer, or with you know Alice in Chains where they play with a new singer or whatever because the singer died or something like. This is like a tainted whole catalog of music because he wrote the lyrics and he's singing them, and it's just interesting to think about. I mean, it's not the most important thing, but it's certainly an interesting. piece of
I mean,
blowback.
there's a good moral there, right? That if you're a core member of a group, you should think about the other member of the group and not do anything, I don't know, illegal. Could maybe screw up everything they've ever worked for.
Why are you looking at me?
What? I don't know.
My life is an open book. If I was going to do something illegal, you guys would be the first person to hear about it.
Your
you talk about it here on the show.
Your addiction to heroin.
Tim,
Yes.
what's your
I'd be
topic?
a lot skinnier if I was addicted to heroin.
Tim, what's your topic? I
My
want a clean
topic
break.
for the day is if you can get arrested for anything, but then kind of like have a get out of jail free pass.
So I can
Where
break.
you're unarrested.
I can break a law, whatever law I want.
Yeah.
And I get a pass.
You get out. What would you do?
I would kill Kevin.
No, you wouldn't.
I would try. He might beat me, but it would be a cat and mouse game till the end, buddy.
You might beat
Have
you.
this Get out of jail free card? I
Yeah,
have
that's what.
self-defense.
Whoever wins gets the card.
Oh yeah.
Do it?
Whoever loses is
We don't
dead.
actually
My
get the
God.
card, Kevin, but if we did,
If you give
I would
yourself
hunt you
time.
down like the Red Dragon, my friend. I would just glue you to a chair and roll you down a fucking street on fire. You know what I mean?
It's a very
Just like a
complicated
red
way
dragon
to
would
kill him.
Yeah.
It's a great
Did you
movie.
not watch the movie?
Yes.
That actually happens in the movie. And Manhunter. A little more visceral Manhunter.
We're talking about Red Dragon, yeah,
the remake of Manhunter. Well, yeah. The book was called Red Dragon.
No, I thought. Wait, I'm thinking of something different.
You are.
I thought
No,
Red.
it's right. It's the same thing.
No,
Manhunter.
I thought. Wait, I thought Red Dragon was associated
Hannibal.
with Hannibal,
Yeah.
right?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, Manhunter was the original movie. They were going. It was based on the book Red Dragon, and they were going to call it Red Dragon, but for some reason they called it Audible at the end. And
Two separate movies.
exact same
Two
movie.
separate-
Manhunter? No. The only reason they called it Manhunter was because they thought Red Dragon had too many connotations for like kung fu or something like that.
Yeah, I
can't
saw
remember why
Red
they
Dragon in the theater. That's
did it.
the only
The Red
reason.
Dragon is a remake of Manhunter, and it is a prequel to the Silence of the Lambs.
I like Ed Norton. Anyway, go ahead.
Ed Norton's a good guy.
He's a good stand-up fellow. Tim,
Good
I
actor.
would probably do what most people would do and rob a bank for a shit ton of money.
Mm.
Money though.
You get out of jail free pass.
Yeah, but they still take the money. Arrested.
Can
You could live it.
Can I get a ruling
I
on
don't
this?
know. I mean, that's
Well, it's your topic. Do I
Yeah.
get to keep the money?
no. I mean, unless you get rid of it before they catch you, right?
Well, you bury it, right? You take it out to the desert, you bury it. You get out of free jail, and then you go back to the
spot,
fucking
dig it
spot
up.
and dig it up, right?
Mm.
Or you,
They still watch you for the rest of your life to be like, nope, there's the money.
they would never know. I would just put it in a safety deposit box and
You just sprayed
slowly
it.
take it out.
Okay.
If I don't get to keep the money, I'm not robbing a bank. Then I probably wouldn't do it. Anymore.
That's the whole thing. I don't get this topic. Yeah, there's no crime I want to commit.
Really?
I'm playing Fallout right now, and I feel bad when the red thing and I accidentally pick it up. I'm like, oh fuck! I've stolen one item and it was by mistake, and I was like, oh god damn it!
You're a delicate.
I don't think
flower,
there's
you know
anything
that?
bad.
Yes,
Like
he
I
is.
wouldn't do anything that's like gonna, hurt people or anything. Like I'm not killing anyone, or I'm not gonna.
So what's
like,
the point? What
But I feel
law
like there's
gets
a
in your
lot
way
of
so
little
much?
crimes that like I would just do.
Like jaywalking. You just
I
jaywalk.
mean, well, obviously.
I would
jaywalking.
fucking
But that's
love
the
that.
problem is I
Just
don't want to
walk
like
across the
give
busiest
it
street.
away on one bullshit thing. Like I feel like there's just a lot of little bullshit things, but that doesn't count. Like you don't get out of jail for I want to jaywalk 1,000 times, or like little thefts. I'm okay with little thefts.
What does
Like
that
what?
mean?
Like you stole a
yeah,
fucking
you're
Rolo?
stealing
I
like
don't
a
know,
jug
like
of milk?
downloading music. You're downloading online piracy. It's
okay.
digital, so it's not real. But no, it's fucking stealing. But I'm okay with that right now. That doesn't even require a fucking get out of jail free thing.
Gotcha.
So I'm like, if I'm this morally ambiguous and fucking crazy that I'm downloading music and shit, what would I do if I could do a little bit more and it'd be okay? I don't think it'd be that crazy.
I feel like you'd
Steal a
That
parade.
doesn't make any sense.
somehow.
No, it
control of the
definitely
parade.
doesn't.
I don't know about
No,
that.
I see-
That's
I
not
see
even
what
a
Kevin's
crime.
saying.
If
No,
you
I
can
see what
take
Kevin's
control of
saying.
a parade, you become the parade master.
I think that's
Have
the
you not
law.
seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
It would be on the news. You get your Twitter handle.
No, I like that. I definitely like this idea of stealing a parade. Thanks,
It sounds
Kevin.
weird, but I'm sure that.
But I don't think I need to get arrested.
I'm pretty sure this happens in Animal House. They just push the guy over and take the baton, and they just lead it wherever they want. Because if you're in a parade, you're already so fucking stupid. You'll just follow whoever's marching in front because you're already wasting your goddamn Saturday walking around waving.
It's not how parades work.
Yeah, it is actually. Go to a parade.
I used to be in a lot of parades. I was the drum major of the marching band.
I was Poppy Boy one year.
I was not the triangle. Okay, you can go.
The drum major does.
He walks to the triangle and hits it.
That's not what that does. What are you even doing? That's
He's
the
hitting
fucking
the
dinner
triangle.
bell.
He's hitting the
You're
triangle.
on the prairie right now, and you're telling the kids to come out and play with the cows because dinner's ready.
Do they make different sounds?
No, they don't make different sounds.
It's one chime.
You know
Yeah,
what
but
makes
there's
different
three
sounds?
sides.
The cacophony of your stupidity, Kevin.
Oh my God.
You're dismissed, Kevin. Colin, can you dismiss him, please?
You're dismissed.
I just feel like there's a lot of illegal things that I'd want to do.
What would you want to do?
Set off
I don't know.
fireworks?
I mean, okay. Yeah. Right? Why not?
Burn a house down.
No, see,
with
I don't
someone
want to
in
hurt
it.
people.
No?
No, okay. I feel like there's a
See,
lot of
crimes are bad things usually. I don't understand. Like
no,
where
that's true. That's true. You know, I don't have any good examples, really. I thought maybe you guys would. I know for me, thinking about it, the problem is there's a lot of things I'm like, yeah, I would do that. And then the moment I start thinking about it, I'm like, no, that's probably not something I should do.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I'm trying to think of like sex things.
I got
some
one.
like
Sex
illegal-
outdoors, sure.
I got one.
But see, here's the thing. I want to have sex outdoors, and I want to get like, I want to fuck in front of the fucking world. I want the whole world to see my dick.
Oh, but
I'd
then
watch
she
your
goes to
dick.
jail.
Yeah.
Ooh,
She doesn't
no.
have the card.
Let's get out of
That's
here.
not how
No.
it works. You
Unless
said
it is
there's
no.
one, get out of jail. Then fine, Tim
She's
and Kevin
coming.
can kill
Unless
one
you're just
another.
masturbating. Are you just masturbating in a window somewhere where everyone can see you?
But see, here's the problem though, is it's like, to me, this is like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm like, that's sexual assault. Like,
Well, if she's not into it.
you know what I
No,
mean?
no. For people
to watch
people.
and all that. So I'm like, oh shit. So then I'm like, do I need to give like NDAs? Do I need to have people sign it? Like,
No, but at that point,
Then
it's
it's
just-
performance
it's
art.
Performance art, yeah.
nah.
You can actually get away with that.
Really?
Yeah, if you brought everyone in.
No, I don't
If
think
you
that-
brought anyone in and had them sign NDAs and it was a closed off environment where no one else could see you,
Yeah,
you
I'm not
probably
talking
could
about
get
that.
away with it.
Like, I'm talking about like, I want it to be outside. I want it to be on the streets.
With a Z or an S?
Anything really. Just give me concrete.
It's harder when it has a Z, Greg. Don't look at me like I'm crazy. This all makes sense in my brain.
I know it. No, it makes sense to me too. I wasn't knocking it.
I want to fuck on a mountain.
You can fuck on a mountain right now.
That's
if you
not
want.
illegal.
No. Yeah, it is.
Fucking on a mountain?
If you're outside.
If someone sees you.
No, I know,
It's
but
still illegal.
Yeah.
Just because no one saw you doesn't mean, oh, I stole this.
No one has sex outside. No, that's never happened
But it's
before. I've
illegal.
certainly never had sex
I'm not-
outside, Kevin.
Nobody's saying that they.
I've had sex in the car.
So what? So that's what you would use
I've
your.
had sex in a bed.
I didn't say it. He fucking.
I
he
wanna
said
know,
sex
but
on
It's a
the mountain.
terrible
I want it
fucking
to be
example.
a crowded mountain. I
Like
don't
a
want
ski
it.
slope?
Space
Just having
mountain.
sex skiing
This
down a
topic's off
mountain?
the rails.
Holy shit! See, no, there's kids.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
they're
they're
getting
gonna
the
see your
birds and the
big hairy
bees talk
balls.
real early.
So those big
Mommy,
low
why does that
hangers.
man have his cranberry pants around his ankles?
It's not really a talk. It's more of like
Mommy,
squishing
why could
noises.
I didn't know something could be that white.
Oh, I
In
can't.
regards to Tim's ass.
Ah.
I got a wide
Your
ass.
ass is white too. Don't act like
His
you know fucking
is
white
it?
on
Ass.
that. Just look at your arms. If your arms are that white, your ass has to be even whiter. Sun never sees that.
I know.
thing.
Look at you are so white.
You are Wonder Bread, my
We
friend.
can't all be ethnic, Colin. I'm
I
sorry.
would like to take your
I
arm
am
off.
very ethnic.
You
I'm
are
very
ethnic.
ambiguously
Got
ethnic.
that nice Mediterranean skin.
I do.
Smooth.
Look. We know. Greg goes outside more than I do. Way
Hey,
more.
Yours is just natural. You have that glow to you.
I do.
That healthy TV baked in glow. The documentary's hitting you at 3 a.m.
Dude, I'm watching a great. I'm watching a great documentary. I think it's called How We Got to Now or something like that. It's on Netflix. It's a PBS documentary.
Okay.
It's fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Each one is about like really random shit. The first one was about water, and the second one's about
I saw that.
Time.
I think I've seen that on the suggested stuff. I'll
They
check
talk
it out.
about the aqueducts.
with water. They talk about how like how water's been clean and how we made sewers and all these like it's about like unsung heroes of history and how like these certain people that made these. About one of the guys that they talk about is how that guy lifted Chicago up to install sewers underneath it or whatever.
One man.
Oh, you get him in there.
True story. When we were on our way back from LA, we got into another argument about what is
That
the.
wasn't the argument.
It was a.
Shut up. You're not mic'd.
You're also very distracting. Don't
About-
look the other direction.
Look into the fan. Turn the fan on and put your
Turn the
tongue
fan
in it.
on and look into
Put
it.
your tongue in the fan. No, we got into an argument about what is the
That's
what
looking
is
at
the
me.
single most important invention for man.
iPhone.
And Kevin was like the sewers,
Huh?
and he may very well be right.
No, that's not true.
I came up with some good answers in thinking about
The
this.
moon.
No. I want.
Not an invention.
I would like if I can get arrested for stuff. And again, like I'm.
Oh, you're
I'm
back
the
to
one,
this, okay.
Yeah, I'm the one coming up with this topic. So I'm now going to be. My crew can get like one group of people.
Oh,
gets-
wow, shit,
get
okay.
validated. I'd want to try like a heist. I'd want to see if we can heist something, or if I want to. I mean,
Rob
maybe.
a bank.
Yeah, I don't know about a bank. Like even
Not
just
like
something
it. Not like a. I don't want to scare people. Okay, let me back up. When I say I rob a bank, I don't mean I'm going in gunslinging midday. Get on the ground. Everyone be cool. This is a fucking robbery. Like any of you motherfuckers move, I'm gonna execute every last motherfucking ones of you. I mean like. What's that?
Well, I don't know. I love
No,
you, honey
you got it,
bunny.
you
Hair
nailed it.
bear, honey bear. What is it?
It's,
I love you, honey bunny.
I love you, pumpkin. I love you, honey bunny. Yeah,
Yeah.
pumpkin. Honey. That was, I mean, like Thomas Crown Affair, going at night, no one's there, ice the alarm, kill the security feed, like a little Hudson Hawk action where we're figuring out kind of like how to rob the
This is
museum.
2 weeks in a row with a Hudson Hawk reference. I
Fuck,
think.
man, I just gotta watch it again. I gotta just break down and rent it on Amazon.
There was an NES game for Hudson Hawk, and for years,
Really?
yeah, and for years,
How bad was that game?
And for years, I always was like, there's a game called Hudson Hawk, and then like in the '90s, I was like, shit, there's a movie called Hudson Hawk that the game's based on. I didn't even know that. It was kind of like when Konami released Goonies 2 on NES, and for 10 years I walked around and like, is there a Goonies 2? Because I never saw it, and they're like, no,
should've
the
been a
game
Goonies
is
2.
fucking called the Goonies 2 column. I'm like, oh okay, I didn't know that. Anyway,
I really want to play the Hudson Hawk game now as a Let's Play.
You don't.
We should do that. I bet it's great. But yeah, I'm talking like cool. We get to wear cool outfits, like where we're like head to toe black, like ninja. Maybe we have the. Remember when the G.I. Joe characters would have the rope that you couldn't take off of them? That used to piss me off. We'd have that rope that we don't use. It's just there if we need.
We
rope.
never know when you need rope.
I don't
You know why
even
they
how
had
to
it?
use rope.
They had it there. That was like their cyanide pill.
They would just swallow the rope.
Cobra's gonna get us. No, then they'd make a noose and hang themselves real quick.
Oh my
Duke's
god.
Duke's
Yeah.
last resort.
No, don't do that. And then
Don't.
they take it out their ass and they floss their whole
Lord.
body with it.
How many
I
people
also
you
want to
think
go to
have
a
done
sporting
that?
event.
2,
And,
maybe
like-
3 max.
Streak.
You know, because you can swallow it, keep going, and eventually it would work its way down. You'd have to have like a mile and a half. How long are your intestines? 10 miles? 18 miles? Doesn't matter. You'd have to have a lot of rope. But you could do it. You just keep pulling it through.
No, you can't.
You
It's
pull
like
it through.
poltergeist.
Kevin, that's how bodies work. It's a straight shot from your mouth right to your asshole. The rope?
Yeah.
Maybe if it was lead lined, it wouldn't dissolve.
it was a call.
I wasn't sure what it was gonna be. It all happened so
Yeah, it
fast.
looked
I just
very
turned
physical.
over and it was mid thing. All right, stop.
Collaborate and listen.
Don't fall for his traps anymore. He sets these traps for you to fall into, and I don't want you to do
He's
it.
smarter than me.
Is he?
Yeah, he is. I can absolutely say that.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Game Over Greggy Show each and every week. 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny where you can get the shows early by tossing us a few bucks. But if you have no bucks to toss, head over to youtube.com/kindafunny where you can go. Yeah, I said Game Over Greggy, didn't I? That's an old one. Patreon.com/kindafunny.
You didn't. You almost did though.
I fixed it?
Yeah.
I saw you reacting, so
No,
I thought I screwed
you
it
did
up.
fix it. I was, giving you the look.
YouTube.com/kindafunny where we break it up topic by topic, day by day, before our entire show. Friday. There's going to be 3
those
in
are
video.
words.
Hilarious.
Hilarious. Heroin.
Until next time,
Cocaine.
it's been our pleasure to serve you.